Hello there, and welcome to Talking Tennis. I'm your host, Nick Carter. If you're wondering where John is, sadly he can't be on tonight. You'll have to make do with me instead. But I'm hoping that you're all going to enjoy the first match of the WTA finals, a tournament I've very much been looking forward to for the last few weeks as someone who's a big WTA fan. Controversially, maybe more than the ATP. This is something that, I really, really want to look forward to. And tour finals are always fun with the best 8 players in the world, and you get to see them at least 3 times. My co-commentators today are Ashley Woods and Miles David. Miles is not here yet, but he'll be joining us later. But Ashley, hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks. We'll see how it goes with commentating at a match at 10 p.m. UK time.
Yes, it's a little late for you.
It's a little late, yeah.
It's a little late. It's only 5 o'clock here. The sun is still out, which is great. But
I'm envious. I am envious.
Oh, don't worry. In about 30 minutes, the sun is going to be gone. So,
welcome to daylight savings time.
Yeah. I woke up late because of it. So.
I thought you might wake up late because you're a college student.
No, I like to try to be on time when I wake up in the morning, especially when I have as much work as I had to do this today done. But I woke up, it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I was like, what in the world is going on? I was like, what?
Okay. Actually, for those of you, because I know that people may have watched your stream that you've done with John before, where you talked about Coco Gauff. Maybe for those who haven't met you before, Ash, do you want to tell people a bit about yourself while we wait for the players to get started?
Yeah, for sure. Well, hello, everyone. My name's Ashley. I am a budding journalist, as I like to put it. I'm a student at the University of Alabama. My major is news media, minoring in political science, concentrating in sports media. I've been doing this writing thing for about 2.5, 3 years now. Cover mainly football and women's basketball, but tennis has always had a place in my heart since I was little. Been a big fan of tennis ever since I was a little kid. My dad used to put it on the TV when I was back at home. Big Serena Venus fan, but later on in my life, as I got more access to more tennis tournaments out of the Big Four, I began to fall in love with the sport and just all the personalities that are in the sport. But yeah, it's kind of what I do. I'm a student. I'm a writer. I try my best to balance the both of them. And then when I'm not a student and or writer, I am just existing. Yes, I do. I did cover Alabama football. I did it last year. Well, I did it in 2020 and in 2021. I'm doing a little bit less this year because of other stuff that I'm doing at the moment. But yes, I did cover Alabama football.
Yeah, Ashley and I talk a lot on WhatsApp, and one of the 2 things that will get her talking are college football and college tennis.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to bring our other guest in now. Please say hello to Miles David. Miles, hello. How are you doing?
Hey, good evening, afternoon to you guys.
It's afternoon for me. It's evening for Nick.
Got it.
It is currently 10:08 p.m. UK time.
Got it. I am in Atlanta, where I've just been made aware that daylight savings time is about to rear its ugly head again. So yay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's already started in the UK.
Eek. But hey guys, happy
Hello.
to be here and talk some tennis.
Right, Miles, have you been on the show before?
On Talking Tennis?
Yes.
No, I have not. This is my first time. I am fresh to the stage.
So for our regular viewers, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Miles David. I am 29. I am originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I live in Atlanta, Georgia now, and have for the past couple of years. I work in higher education, and my passion project / hobby / thing I'm a little bit obsessed with is tennis. And I've been watching since 2006. The very first match that came across my television was a WTA Los Angeles semifinal, I believe, between Serena Williams and Jelena Jankovic. So I've been watching for over a decade now. I have a special place for the WTA and all of the rivalries and things that go around that specific tour. I love the ATP tour as well. And I enjoy talking about tennis while it happens and afterwards. All the time, actually.
All the time.
All the time.
He talks about it all the time.
All the
and
time.
we love it.
Miles, I've talked to you a lot on Twitter Spaces, and that's where we've interacted a lot. And I've always really enjoyed talking to you. But you had a podcast at one point, didn't you?
I have a podcast. Yes, thank you for giving me that nudge to promote myself. I appreciate it. I have a podcast. We've currently been on hiatus since the French Open, but we are coming back with a vengeance very soon. I'm in the middle of rebranding some things right now. You can find episodes that are on and live from this season and past seasons under Missing the Point with Miles David. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts, and you should go give it a listen to prepare for my epic comeback.
And it will be epic. I mean, you've had a little bit of a dip into coming back to the podcast scene by joining myself on the Popcorn Tennis podcast. Latest, I don't think it's the latest episode, but it came out a few days ago. Go check that out. It's a new podcast that's just been launched as part of the Popcorn Tennis site, which may have been regular viewers will probably know gets plugged a lot on here. Most of us here write for Popcorn. Ashley, you've got a few articles on there. Miles, I think you wrote something at one point. Anyway, it looks like this match is about to get underway. A rematch of the Guadalajara final 1 week later, and Jessica Pegula and Maria Sakkari taking each other on again.
Whoever came up with that scheduling, I'm not sure if it was purposeful or just a matter of happenstance that both Jessica and Maria ended up in the same group. But yeah. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. I think it's a nice way to start off the year-end championships with a rematch of one of the biggest finals on tour just a couple days ago, especially between two compelling players that have similar-ish storylines coming into the tournament.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, that's a question I'm going to ask. But I was going to say, it always seems to me, Miles, in the last few times we've talked, it's always been involving Jessica Pegula.
Hasn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. But similar storylines. I'm going to come back to that. But as the players are now on court, and Pegula is going to be serving first. Quick predictions, guys. Ashley, how do you see this match going?
For some reason, I'm leaning Jessie Pegula. I think they're pretty. A lot of the matches have been on hard, and they're pretty even on hard. Both of them have won 2 matches on this surface, but I think momentum is just really on Jessie's side. I think that title in Guadalajara about a week ago has just given her a lot of momentum, and she's been the more consistent player this season. So I'm going to back Jessie on this one. Jessie in, I'll say 2. I'll be bold. I'll say 2.
Miles, how about you?
You know, I'm often stuck between heart and head when it comes to matchups on the WTA Tour, especially lately. My head wants me to say Pegula in 2 to match Ashley, but my heart wants to see Sakkari come out and either win this entire thing or just have a really successful end to a pretty stop and start campaign in 2022. So I'm going to predict that Sakkari somehow edges through Pegula in all of her confidence and payback from last week.
And judging by this early start, she may well be on that. She's already 15-30 up in the opening game after some very positive opening 2 points. I think Pegula is going to win this match. I think generally tennis trends tend to be if you play it back to back, the result repeats itself. Just sort of patterns of play, and I tend to be a head over heart guy. Although having said that, I do really like Jessica Pegula. I think she seems really down to earth and quite a fun individual, and I was really, really pleased for her when she won Guadalajara. However, let's call it 2-2 because our regular sort of guest in the chat, Ghost of Gerulatis, who you will probably see popping up every now and again, is with Team Miles on this one. he or they, I'm sorry, I'm assuming, is under the impression they think that Sakkari's going to surprise Pegula.
Let's go with Sakkari's going to surprise the entire field. Let's go with that.
Wow. That includes Iga. You realize that, right, Miles?
you know, I do realize that. And I remember a day. I remember a day and time on the Women's Tennis Association where Sakkari slightly had Swiatek's number. So it's not impossible.
I do agree. There is that point. That's a very valid point.
At one point, Swiatek had a Sakkari problem on her hands. So, you know, we'll see.
We'll see if she got that bug fixed.
And her turning that around became the basis of that streak at the beginning of the year, right? Because she beat Sakkari twice in 2 tournaments. It was in Doha and Indian Wells. Sakkari winning this wouldn't be a big surprise to me. It would be standard Sakkari, like most Sakkari thing ever, right? To go from struggling to win a title and end up winning one of the biggest.
That's exactly why my heart and a little bit of my head wants to either see Sakkari lift the entire title, because it kind of keeps in trend with a little thing I've noticed in the WTA finals, where the player that comes in with the most head of steam or has had the most overwhelming success over the course of that season hasn't been the person to lift that particular trophy. If you remember back in 2016 when Angelique Kerber won 2 of the 4 Grand Slams, she got to the final, but Sibylkova beat her. I believe Svitolina didn't have a outstanding, especially by major results standpoint, 2018 season, but she won that year in championships. And then Garbiñe Muguruza also didn't have great success in the majors in 2021, decent success, but she was the one that ultimately came out on top in the WTA final. So I'm thinking it's going to be something similar-ish this year.
What a backhand winner for Maria Sakkari to break. I don't know whether I'm ahead or behind you guys. We'll have to compare streams.
You're slightly ahead of me.
Miles, where am I with you?
You're slightly ahead of me too. I was going to say, I think that's the good old European internet and cable just trumping us once again.
It's okay.
I'm usually the one behind on these streams. I'm usually the one behind on these streams when I'm streaming with other Europeans. It's because usually I'm casting it to onto my TV from my device, trying not to say specific brands. Hashtag not sponsored, and not yet. If any sponsors are out there and they're watching this, call me or call John because he runs the show. So that might slow it down. So I'm experimenting today with having it on my tablet, but generally I find myself ahead of Americans. So I'll try not to spoil anything too much for you. But that was a nice backhand winner, wasn't it, Ashley?
Yes, it was. I think Sakkari's backhand is one of my favorite groundies in the WTA tour. I don't think there's a lot of bad backhands in the WTA tour, but she gets a lot of pace on it, and she can create some really good angles. I think it was Deuce. She had Jessie Pegula just kind of defending a lot with that backhand angles, the angles that she was creating on her backhand side. So I really like Sakkari's backhand. Just the way that she can create angles on it. But yeah, that was a great backhand winner. If she kind of sticks to that trend tonight, she could pull off the victory. I think that's the key there for her.
Yeah, she's certainly started off pretty well, and I'd say she's definitely the most solid and produced some wonderful tennis. Although she can quite run down that drop shot there, just put it wide on the pickup on the backhand. So it's 15 on the Sakkari's opening service game. By the way, he may not be with us on screen, but he is with us in spirit. Hi, John, if you're still watching.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Hope we don't wreck your channel. We're going to do our best behavior.
I have no control whether his channel get wrecked. You have that control, Nick.
We're going to be good ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
I'm always on my best.
You're the one I've been most scared of having on.
Oh, well, I've been on here. I'm always on my best behavior. OMG.
You guys were talking about. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna have some banter. Go on, Miles.
Oh, sure. You guys were talking about Sakkari's backhand, and I'm looking at her in the middle of this service game here, in her opening service game, and I distinctly remember a time when I was on the cusp of saying something along the lines of Sakkari's serve on the WTA should have been top 5. Her technicality behind it, the pace, her placement isn't necessarily poor. She does have the ability to hit a kick, which a lot of women, shouldn't say a lot, but a good majority of women struggle a little bit to have that natural kick on the serve. But she has all of that, and I'm interested to see how the dynamics of her playing indoors affects her serve, especially her first serve, because I do believe in the X's and O's or tails of the tape between the serves of her and Pegula. She wins that battle, so I'm interested to see if she's going to actually go after it, especially with no win or anything like that.
Yeah, I was looking up their latest match stats before we got popped on here really quickly, just to do some little research so I don't talk out of my behind on the stream. In their Guadalajara final, Jessie actually didn't serve all that great. It was like 52% of her first serves were in, and I think Sakkari had around 75%. But Jessie did a better job at protecting her serve, winning those first serve points. So I think if Sakkari can still serve around that 70 mark, but also can win those points, that could really be a point there to where she can flip the result from Guadalajara to Fort Worth, Texas. Or I don't know why they're saying Fort Worth. They in Dallas, okay? They are in Dallas. Okay?
They really are. They're in an outward subword. They're in an outward subdivision of Dallas, pretty much.
They're literally in Dallas. I hate it when people be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Dallas, Fort Worth." Like, you're going to Dallas, boo. It's like with Flushing. I'm like, you're going to Queens, okay? You're going to Queens. It's okay. It's the bougie part of Queens, but you're going to Queens, okay?
The court does look very nice, though. I do have to say, although that it seems like the announcement of the WTA finals being in Fort Worth or Dallas, Texas, seemed like it was only a month ago or some change.
Yes.
It definitely feels like, so far, I know we're early goings in it, but it seems like they've been able to put on a pretty decent show. I know I've seen people on my timeline just a couple minutes ago or before we jumped on here post some footage live in the arena. So it looks pretty nice and well put together for an event that was not on the calendar even in September before the US Open. I don't believe it was on the calendar. It wasn't, at least it wasn't announced. It wasn't announced.
Yes. I think they did put on a decent show. The southern part of the United States, they don't have a lot of big or good prominent tournaments, I should say. So having a big tournament like the WTA finals could possibly do well and maybe draw some more attention to bring tennis tournaments down to the South, or even the US, especially with the amount of US players that we're kind of putting into the WTA and also the ATP side.
Yeah. What do you think of the fact that, as Sakkari is still trying to battle her way out of this service game to try and hold on, because Pegula's had some opportunities to break. She's had an advantage, backhand back in play for Pegula, backhand Sakkari, winner, job done, holds for 2-love. It's a bit disappointing this arena's a bit empty. Why?
It's a Monday. It's a Monday evening before, it's a Monday evening in Dallas on Halloween Day. So I'll cut them a little bit of slack. But my first reaction when I saw the stands were, oof.
Yeah, and it was oof, and then I realized what today was, and I was like, okay, I'll give you a little grace there. I think if we held any big event right now on Halloween, they'll probably be on a Monday, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think this is baseball talk. I apologize if I'm going to put everybody to sleep, but that was a big issue with the playoffs this season. There were a lot of 1:30, 2:30 first pitches on a Tuesday afternoon, and people would be the stadiums would be empty. You'll get one full side, and then you'll pan over to the other side, and it'll be oh, it would be the desert. And I'm sometimes you got to give a little to get a little. So.
I think my
Shuri.
Hi, Shuri. Hi. My feed was just showing some of Sakkari's some of her highlights recently in this season. And if you put it all together, I really don't think she's had a bad season or two on the WTA tour. It's just that she's missing a little bit when it really comes to clutch moments and being just that hair or two, having a hair or two differential between being a runner-up or a semifinalist and that eventual champion. So it's interesting to see how she's going to handle that dynamic in this tournament, especially because if she loses, I think that's something that doesn't get factored into tennis kind of thought a lot sometimes. When you lose, you kind of just pick up the pieces and go towards the next event, the next city, you go to the next airport and so on. But in this event, you lose and you kind of get some opportunities to redeem yourself. So I think that's interesting in this dynamic of the round robin.
Yeah. I think Sakkari is clutch because, you know, some of her most clutch matches have actually come sort of like in the fourth round or a quarter final. But it's the moments in a final or in a maybe sometimes in a semi-final where something happens. And again, we're not psychologists. We don't know how it's all work or how she's interpreting it. I think Miles, we talked before, from going down the sort of Swiatek or Jabeur route of having a regular sports psychologist with her, because she might actually unlock something there as she goes low. She's gone along with a backhand just. She does seem to be the most proactive player in this match at the minute, Sakkari.
She is. I think she's the one that's going to be taking the bigger cuts. That's just how her ground strokes are set up technically. Pegula's a little bit more conservative and close to home with how she produces her shots, which is what makes her so consistent. But I do think a little bit of the match is a bit more on Sakkari's racket altogether.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. It's going to be fun. As we go into the change of ends, let's talk a little bit more about, because I'm a little bit behind with some of your comments. So apologies, I'm not ignoring you guys. But there's a couple of fun questions from Ghost of Gerillatis.
Totally ignoring y'all.
Yeah. So we were talking about similar storylines between Pegula and Sakkari. Miles, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, they're similar storylines. Well, I think one glaring similarity that they had going into the Guadalajara final was the fact that they only had one WTA 250 title to their career. And that's pretty slim pickings when you look into your either your literal or your figurative trophy cabinet as a professional, especially for two players that have now seen some of the highest heights on the tour being top 5, top 4. So they had that in common. And again, Pegula and Sakkari suffer a little bit from that bridesmaids, not necessarily the bride syndrome, a player that you can pretty much week in, week out see in the quarters or semis of an event, but that's also where you see them kind of come up against players that are ranked higher than them or just having the ability to either take the racket out of their hands or, in Sakkari's case, a little bit more often than not, kind of seize up to the moment. So I think they both share a little bit of that in similarity, and just being players that a lot of the women on tour seem to really appreciate and like and get along with, and they're also both signed to Adidas. So, you know, there's some similarities there.
Yeah, I can understand that. I agree with you in terms when you look at their careers as a whole, big picture. I think their years have been somewhat different. I think Pegula's been at the sharp end a lot more frequently than Sakkari. And she's had her name in the mix a lot more. So it's why it felt a bit more fitting that she won Guadalajara, as they're now back on court. But I think I agree with your assessment. I mean, Ashley, what do you think as Sakkari puts that ball in the net on the forehand?
So here's the thing. My Wi-Fi went out, so I missed everything that has been said over the past 3 minutes. I'm telling y'all, my Wi-Fi is the boondocks. And
Ashley, you missed my wonderful soliloquy about Sakkari and Pegula and how wonderful they are.
I'm so sorry. I bet you it was the most perfect, beautiful soliloquy that has ever been uttered about Jessica Pegula and Maria Sakkari. I apologize. I knew this was going to happen at some point, that my Wi-Fi was just going to randomly just like crap the bed. And I was like, So I am so sorry, but if anyone wants to give me a refresher so I don't walk into this blind, I will be happy to give in my opinion on anything.
Okay. Well, you could always rewatch the stream to see what Miles has said. And as all of you watching can rewatch the stream at any point. It's well worth doing to see if you can't necessarily watch the match live alongside us. Come rewatch it. I do that sometimes with the streams, particularly the ones I'm not on, because it's a bit weird to only watch the ones that you're on. It's a little bit narcissistic. Francis asking, yeah, I know I was talking then. Go on, Miles.
That had a really good point at 2-1 Love 15 for Sakkari. I think I said that correct. Sorry. Pegula tracked down a volley and got it over Sakkari's head. Really good point. One of the best points they've played thus far in the match early on.
Good job. There's a lovely drop shot from Pegula to finish that point and get to love 40 on the Sakkari serve. That wasn't bad, Miles, for your talking tennis commentary debut that Vanch is asking about. Our friend Vanch has been on before.
Hi, Vanch.
Love 40 on the Sakkari serve. So I'm going to talk through this point because although I was probably spoiling it for you guys. So, but we'll do it anyway. So Pegula's waiting
drop shot there. I just saw the drop shot. Actually. Yeah, I'm pretty behind. I told you I was a touch behind.
Wow.
I told you I was
just served an ace to Sakkari's just served an ace to save the first break point. Miles, do you want to take us through the second one?
I think you might want to take the lead on that because you still see it in real time, and I'm behind.
Okay, fine. So return Sakkari forehand, backhand Pegula cross court, backhand wide from Sakkari, couldn't quite pick it up properly and get the stroke moving. Really didn't follow through on it, and Pegula is now back on serve. It's 2-2. Miles, if you see that, I don't know if you agree with my assessment on that. Just didn't quite. I think the ball was very low and difficult to pick up, but wasn't struck premiumly by Sakkari.
It wasn't a clean strike.
No.
Yeah, I think I may have just jinxed Sakkari when I mentioned her serve in the prior game. Yeah, I just saw that wild backhand. I saw that wild backhand error to even us up at 2-2. So interesting that I think it takes a little while to feel out an opponent. Maybe not so in this case because they just played each other. But I'm going into the match. I would have liked to see more longer rallies. So hopefully we'll keep an eye out for like shots longer than 15 or so like that. I think they both have the ability to produce that, just not yet so far in the match. So we'll see.
Yeah. Pegula is definitely settled a lot more. She's definitely seems like she's got a bit more control over this match and is playing at her best. And she serves forehand cross court, forehand Sakkari. They're sort of rallying in neutral at the minute, just going up the center of the court. And then Sakkari goes long with a forehand. Ghost of Garolatus has just asked, Ashley, what's their head-to-head? You were just saying that just now, weren't you?
Yes. So it's 3-2 to Sakkari. But Jessie Pegula has won 2 or 3 of the matches that they played this year in 2022. So yeah, it's a pretty even matchup. And most of their matches have been on hard. 4 of the 5 have been on hard. 1 was on grass at Eastbourne last year. That's where Sakkari won. But yeah, it's 3-2 Sakkari at the moment, with, of course, the last time they met going to Jessie for the Guadalajara title.
Interesting.
Okay.
I've been putting together some. I've been trying to put together some end of the year highlights. I do this really interesting thing. Sorry for the plug here, but I do this interesting thing that I came up with last year on my podcast Instagram, where I picked 12 players that have interesting storylines going into the 2023 season. And I've been eyeing Jessica Pegula's best moments on court, and I realized that they played at the Australian Open earlier this season. I believe it was the 4th round, and Sakkari didn't quite show up for that match the way I thought she would. But again, it's one of the largest tournaments in the sport, and a very later on into the tournament kind of feel, and that's where she tends to struggle. So I'm interested to see if things get really tight. I mean, 4-all, 5-all in this match, what Sakkari is going to do, because Pegula, we kind of know what she's going to do under pressure. She's not going to miss. She's going to try her best to counterpunch and extend the rally. So we'll see if Sakkari can handle that. But that head-to-head is very
Yeah, might not get that far. It's break point again for Sakkari. Pegula's having a bit of a loose game, but managed to save it with a serve that's difficult to return. So it's now deuce on the Pegula serve at 2. It's very even. Very interesting. You're saying obviously that Sakkari didn't really show up for the Australian Open match. I mean, you could probably say the same thing about the Guadalajara final, although it might be a bit harsh because Pegula did play very well in that final as well. But that could be it might be interesting to see what, like you were saying, Miles, what would happen if they both brought their A game, because that would produce some very entertaining rallies, which we've had one or two of in this match. And we're currently we're having a decent rally at the minute. Sakkari's moving Pegula around the court, but then she tries to go back behind her with a forehand and puts it in the net. That's so it looks like Pegula might hold on, but let's just see how it goes. I mean, Ashley, were you expecting this match to be competitive?
Yeah, I think I kind of was expecting this match to be competitive. I don't think I was looking at their head-to-head, and although the score lines kind of lean one way or the other to whoever player wins, they tend to be competitive with each other, long route, not long, but medium long rallies, going back and forth, sometimes trading breaks to be at the beginning of the match, but then someone settles in and kind of takes the reign from there on. So I kind of expected this match to be competitive. Also, Sakkari just coming off of a loss in a final against Jessie Pegula. I bet she wants to come out and just kind of get that out of her system and kind of get back to winning and try to at least get her hands on one big title this season. She's been in contention for a good chunk of them, so I'm thinking that's what she wants to do. So I was expecting both of them to come out to be very, very competitive.
Pegula's throwing her hands up in the air in frustration. She's missed going long on the baseline. She's got a nut, and Sakkari has now got a break point at 2-all. David Witt, Jessica Pegula's coach, watching on. Pegula serves out, tries to go down the center, but misses. Not down the center, sort of goes for the body serve, but went long. So it's a second serve opportunity. I think Sakkari's been attacking theirs, is sort of safely in the middle of the box there. Pegula backhand, slice from back Sakkari, forehand Pegula, forehand Sakkari back across court. Pegula's going cross court with each other. Sakkari goes up the line, backhand back up the line. Pegula, they're sort of just trying to feel each other out here. Pegula re-attacks with that forehand. Sakkari drops it short, drop shot Pegula. Sakkari gets in, loops it up, and just out. Just out. I mean, like, I probably actually wasn't just. It looks just on the camera angle I've got, but actually might have been just maybe a foot long. But that was a good attempt. It looked like she might run that ball down, but just didn't quite pull it off. And she's got her head in her hands there. Bit of a Patrick Stewart facepalm moment for Sakkari.
I'm watching that exchange right now, Nick, and again, I'm looking for more workman-like rallies. It looks like a bit of a nervy start for both of them. They're both pointing at their heads and waving, and we're only 4 games into the match. So interesting to see how this year-end championships pressure is playing on both of them. And I believe, for sure, this is Sakkari's second consecutive year making it, and Pegula's first. So one would think Sakkari would be able to handle the situation a little bit better, but altogether a nervy start for both.
Yeah, I can see why you mean, like, they're both wanting to play their best out the blocks, which is tough. Like, everyone's a bit rustier in these early matches, right? So as Pegula manages to hold on, we're going to another change of ends. So we're going to have another fun discussion question that Ghost actually put in the chat 20 minutes ago that I wanted to come back to. It's addressed to Miles, but I'm actually going to address it to both of you. And it's going to come up on the screen now. And it's top 5 WTA servers.
Ooh.
Now, Ghost, is that active, or can that include retired players? Because obviously, if you put retired players, that's going to have Serena in there, surely.
Yes, of course. I was actually going to go active in my mind, just because I feel like the WTA is in this stage of promoting players for the next seasons and years to come in this post-Serena era. So if I'm going top 5 active, I'm putting Sakkari in there at around 5. This is going to sound so bad because someone's going to be like, how do you put Sabalenka in the top 5? When it's clicking, and when she's hitting her spots, go back and watch the semifinal of Wimbledon last year. I think Sabalenka deserves to be top 5 in a, what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive-minded serve. Who else? I'll put Coco Gauff in there as well. Of course, there are some technical / yips that come around sometime in her game. But again, any 18-year-old that hits 128, almost 130 mile per hour serve, I feel like deserves a good mention in the top 5. And I will throw Iga Swiatek in there. Her serve is beginning for me to become a little bit predictable, but I do believe she has a very safe, reliable serve, and reliability is a big factor. I think that's 4 that I've mentioned so far. 5th.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily put them in a row. Who would I put in number 5?
Well, you said Sakkari was 5th. Sakkari was 5th. So I'm guessing if you started Sakkari with 5th, that would be 4th was Sabalenka. Coco was 3. Iga was 2. So this would be your number 1. This
Nice.
Whilst you're thinking about that, I will say that Iga Swiatek's serve is underrated in my view. I mean, yes, it's not a big serve, but it does win a 3 point sometimes. It is reliable. It can be attackable, but I don't see an awful lot wrong with it technically. I think she can definitely get through. And obviously she wins matches off it, even against these big hitters who attack the return. Doesn't necessarily affect it. But then, of course, I'm going to defend Iga Swiatek. Do you not know my reputation as an Iga fan?
A lightning strike just hit me. She's not the WTA finals, but she's probably not too far away from Fort Worth at this moment. But I would say overall best serve when it's clicking, hitting her spots, pace, variety, Madison Keys, active player. I would say Madison.
Oh, yeah. Good choice. By the way, just on this match, Pegula had love 30, but she lost her footing trying to hit a drop shot, and it's now 15-30. She's very annoyed with herself, but Pegula's trying to get herself coming for a breakdown to get a break advantage, which could be an interesting place. So we'll see how this point plays out, and then maybe I'll gives Ashley some time to think about her top 5 WTA servers.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna need a little time.
Tell you what, Ashley, if you want to just maybe signal to me privately that you might be ready with your top 5, we could come back to that.
Okay.
And we'll go with that. I'll be nice to you. It's Miles who's got on the spot there by Ghost.
Oh, you're gonna be nice to me. Oh, how sweet.
I have to be sometimes, Ashley.
I know it's happening a lot today. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of throwing me off.
It's interesting. I wonder if I could just get in the players' minds for just like half an hour and ask them what their plans or what their routine was rather in the lead up to the match. I'd be interested because based off of a Twitter space I was in just the other night with Courtney Nguyen of WTA Insider and Pam Shriver, who's doing the commentating for Tennis Channel from Santa Monica. Courtney provided some insight that said a lot of the players were very happy and a lot more refreshed this go around for the year-end finals compared to others that she's been associated with because there's not a huge jet lag associated with the time it takes to get to the event. A lot of the players were already in Guadalajara or just resting in general. And the hotel is really not far from the venue at all. So there was a really good vibe. But when I look on the players' faces, both Sakkari and Pegula look way more perturbed, especially Pegula because she usually keeps a pretty even keel face out there. They look very perturbed. Maybe it's just the nerves of being the first singles match of the WTA year-end finals. Maybe it's that, but they both look a little bit unsettled and kind of searching for their game. But both had a solid week-ish to kind of get accustomed to the conditions in Fort Worth. So I don't know, a little perplexed as to why the start is a little scratchy.
I think it's opening night nerves, to be honest. I think that would affect you however you like the conditions. I mean, Novak Djokovic always seems to lose the first set of every Wimbledon he plays, and yet he's still ends up winning the damn thing. So,
I am growing so much, Nick, because I had a very sarcastic comment to follow that, but I won't say it.
We're not here to enrage the Djokovic fans today, Miles.
I'm here to enrage Djokovic fans any day of the week. I don't know what about y'all.
This is the WTA, guys. I mentioned the ATP because it's the best example in my head, but I'm trying not to do it too much because, like, we need to give the double because they get overshadowed enough by the ATP and it annoys me
That's very
so
true.
much.
We're gonna give the ladies their shine as we always do.
Good, yes, as we should. And Shiny Lara, it's now 15:30 on the Pegula serve, so interesting point. Obviously, Ghost is being very complimentary to you, Miles, as is Shrihari. We're referring to a Twitter comment that was made after listening to our Popcorn podcast that Shrihari and I co-present.
Thank you.
You have a. I don't know if you saw that tweet, but you do have a magnificent voice.
Thank you. I have plans to use it in the future. Let's just say that.
Yes, on your podcast, as it's the second serve from Jessica Pegula at 15:40 on her serve, and she looks very fed up at the minute. So I'm going to talk us through this crucial point as she double faults. Pegula double faults, and it's 4-3 to Maria Sakkari with a break. Bit of a surprise there, bit of a sort of a loss of concentration or just a dip from Pegula there.
Were those back-to-back doubles?
That was a double fault on her on break point down.
I think she had back-to-back doubles. I just watched. I'm a point behind you, and I think she set up that break point she set up the break point against her by hitting a double and then another double, which is interesting. That's
she doesn't usually do that.
Yeah, that's uncharacteristic.
Yeah. All right, Ashley, have you had time to come up with some WTA?
Yes. So my list is about the same as Miles, but I'm going to switch to positions a little bit. Because Miss Sabalenka is sometimes very inconsistent on the serve, I will have to put her at number 5, above or just below Maria Sakkari. I think Maria is just a touch bit more consistent with her serve, and she can also, create a lot of, I won't say free points, but points that are easier for her to win off of the serve. So my 5 and 4 are the Sabalenka and the Sakkari. Then number 3 is Coco Gauff. Yes, the double faults are the double faults. But she's 18 and she's knocking down 130 mile serves. And when that first serve is on, there are very, very, very few people in the WTA that can return it or return the serve one or make even a decent return on the serve to start the point and get an advantage onto the point. I think that first serve is just so deadly, and she uses it so well to the point where I can't knock her too much for the double fault issues that she has, because I think she's working on it a little bit. I think it's coming less and less, but the double faults are the double faults. They're going to happen. Everybody going to have double faults. If you're saying someone's not a good server because they hit double faults, welcome to tennis. We hit double faults in tennis.
Okay. Will be relieved to hear you say this.
Listen, there's more than that goes into the serve, other than just how many double faults you hit. It's technicality, it's the form, it's the placement, pace, and Coco nearly has all of that. So number 2, I'm gonna put Iga. At number 2. I agree with both of you. I think Iga's serve is very, very underrated. For someone who has dominated the tour in a lot of her matches, her serve has been in the upper 70%. She can get a lot of free points on her serve, and she's very effective on it. Placement at times can be a little bit wonky, but it's not wonky to the point where it's she can't get any kind of pace on the serve. And then number 1 is honestly, it really is Maddie Keys. I think I go back to the Adelaide run that she had, and her serve in Adelaide was just absolutely unbelievable. It was really hard for people to get any type of decent return onto it. And that's when you see it and it's on, and it's clicking, it's very, very good. I think the reason why she's not lower, like I slided Sabalenka, is that I will give Maddie sometimes that even when it's not on, she can still get a lot of decent points off of it. Whereas Sabalenka, when it's not on, it's just not on. There's no lights in the house. The house ain't even existing. Whereas Maddie has a foundation and the walls are up in the house. But Sabalenka ain't got that. We still got to find it though.
That's a good metaphor. I'll come back to you on that as it's love 40 on the Sakkari serve, because as we were talking about serving, Sakkari's serve has failed her and Pegula wins it with a backhand volley.
I done jinxed her.
And we're back on serve because it's absolute chaos right now.
Me and Miles have.
I was just gonna say, Ashley, we both tanked her when we gave her the nod on her serve. I just think her technique is pretty athletic and lovely to watch. It's repeatable, yes. But for whatever reason, she's enthralled herself into a little bit of a break fest, which I hate. I hate to use that term, especially on the WTA, because I hear too many of very popular tennis commentators just go straight to breakfast when they watch a WTA match and don't really give that same energy to multiple breaks in a set on a men's match. But I think there's 3 or 4 breaks in a row at this point, Nick?
Something like that. I think it's been 3 breaks in a row. And by the way, Miles, it's pronounced breakfast.
Oh my God. Oh, the corny jokes are out today.
I might use that. Yeah, 4-all. It's 4-all. They've been on court for almost 40 minutes, and I don't remember. I think the last hold of serve was when Sakkari held to go up 2-love. Maybe that's the last memorable one.
No, because Sakkari broke in the opening game.
Jesse held,
then broke, then held. Then Sakkari held, then broke, then Pegula broke. So, yeah.
There have been a couple of holes in there. It just hasn't happened too frequently, and we didn't forget about it because we were ranking surfers.
At least someone appreciates my humor. Thank you, Hanya.
I didn't say I didn't appreciate it. I just said it was corny.
I mean, that is my humor. My humor is either absurd or dad humor.
I appreciate that. It's part of your charm. I appreciate that.
Just a slight tangent. As Pegula wins that off a drop net cord to go 30-15 up, I do remember at university, a friend and I wrote a sketch to perform for our friends, having binged watched a lot of Monty Python. So you can imagine how that turned out.
Interesting. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but
it was a television series as well in the UK. It was a television series, so there's a lot more sketches out there. As Jessica Pegula Sakkari can't get that ball back from Jessica. It was a really nice running shot on the forehand to go 40-15 up. Sorry, I was talking over you. I wanted to. I do want to talk Monty Python with you, but it's probably not the best tangent to go on right now.
Not right now.
How do you guys feel about let courts in tennis? You don't have to. Don't feel like you have to expound too much. But would you be for or against players playing the lets on first and second serves, just like in the point Nick just described? When a ball hits a let court and pops up or dribbles over in a rally, you have to play it. Would you be for or against that in a serving situation?
They actually do that in college. They do that in college on the men's side because it was like a cheating issue. It was like, I think it was like serves mainly, or like someone will hit an ace or a really good first serve, and the person will miss it, and they'll be like, "Oh, that was a let," because they do all their own calls and stuff like after the point. And so it became so much of a problem to the point that they're like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna play lets now." So exactly. I mean, obviously, honestly, I don't have a really strong opinion on it. I like bring up that little factoid every time somebody brings up lets or net cords. If they play it, they play it. If they don't, they don't. I'm not like John McEnroe that's like, oh my God, we need to play Let's. Like, this is stupid. It's ruining the game. It's slowing the pace of the game. Like, nah, fam. Like, it's not ruining the game that bad. Like, I'm perfectly fine with flat courts. If they start playing them, that's fine. Either way, I'm still gonna watch tennis.
Yeah, I'm putting Nigel's comments on the screen whilst I give my view. I'm kind of similar to you, Ashley. I don't feel that strongly about it. How I feel about the rule depends on the point in the match. I quite like having that let rule on the serve. I think it'd be easy. It makes otherwise it just sort of it makes the return quite complicated if you're dealing with a let cord. But also in a crucial moment, it can actually add to the tension. Or it can completely diffuse some momentum. So it really depends on the stage of a match as Sakkari manages to pass Pegula to keep it at deuce.
A crucial game here. Very crucial game.
Yeah. Yeah. The let rule seems to happen at the USTA senior events as well. Interestingly. Yeah, definitely a crucial game, Miles, because it's so tight in the set. Like, would you be brave enough to say that whoever wins this game is going to win the set?
Yes, I would. And Sakkari just won a beautiful point using all of the court, and she fended off another break point, like you said. So I would believe whoever wins this game is going to win the set. I'd put like a little bit of money, not all of my money, but a little bit.
just touch a bit of money. Yeah. Yeah, that was a very good all court rally from Sakkari using all ends of the court. I like seeing that from her. It's something that sometimes we don't see from her, especially when she gets uncomfortable. She'll like to stay behind the baseline and whatnot.
And push.
She's a pusher. She's pushing. I have to do that every time I talk about a Jessica Pegula match. I have to do it.
Maybe I shouldn't use the word push because that has a negative connotation. I do believe though that Sakkari is one of those players that as much as her game, or her mindset is to attack, her legs and her physicality allow her the option to just retrieve and give more air and shape on the ball. And I do believe sometimes she relies on that. And you can just clearly see it when that's her plan. She's just behind that baseline, putting shape on the ball. And if the opportunity presents itself to go big, she might step up, but it looks like she's opting to just keep the ball in with shape and air on it because she knows she's not necessarily playing lights out right now.
Right. Yes. I agree with that.
Yeah. It has to be said that every tennis player has pushed in their life, right?
They're pushing.
Yeah.
Venus Williams just uploaded a YouTube video. Yeah, I think she said that.
Yeah, I don't always watch all of Venus Williams' YouTube videos, but
Venus, if you ever come across this, Venus, I'm subscribed and I listen to all or watch all of it.
He said, "I'm gonna clear my name." Nick going right on that bus.
And I enjoy it. I enjoy it whenever I watch it. Definitely, I watched the video where she did serving and massively helped my technique because I just copied it. It's like, good grief, I never thought about putting my feet in that position. That's brilliant. The game durations coming up on the screen is 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Yep. As Pegula's serving an advantage, but she's missed the first serve. This game remains crucial. I will. Let's have a look. Second serve, right in the middle of the court. Sakkari puts it in the net. That was an attackable second serve, and Sakkari nets it, and they're going to the change of ends. Ashley, you've got a message from Nigel.
I never stay on topic. Listen, never. That's my whole entire personality.
Was Nigel talking about Venus or you, Ashley?
Both work. Both work, honestly. Because when have I stayed on top of this entire live stream? Let's be real here.
You've added to it.
Speaking of topics, I want to just close the serving argument once and for all, just because there were a couple of comments from Ghost during it. The first go in terms of people you could potentially consider for top 5 and sort of maybe reasons why they weren't there. So number 1 would be Caroline Garcia because she serves a lot of aces. And then one, Kasatkina having the highest first serve percentage of the top 20 at 67.4%. So the Kasatkina serve is Kasatkina serve is very
Ghost of Gerolitis, I believe you are very intelligent and a lovely tennis watcher, but I believe that percentage is very high because she uses it as a point starter. I don't think I've ever watched a Kasatkina match, and I had the feeling that she was walking up to the line with a plan on what to do with that first or second serve. It was just, let's get it in and use our legs.
Yeah, very much.
Wonderful player, though.
Actually, is get it in, which works, but it's not necessarily going to win a point, and it's very attackable on both first and second serves.
As far as Garcia, I think Garcia will probably be slotted in as my 6, and honestly, she could go above Sabalenka, because I think Caro's serve can be a bit more consistent, and she can hit her spots and whatnot. But I think Caroline Garcia is right at my 6. But yeah, Kasatkina. Great gowns, beautiful gowns. Great gowns. I wish that my sister will get a little bit more consistent on that serve, so she get a little bit more technique and some pace on it. Because you can see that she has a little bit of it there, and she just works on it just a touch. She could just really just be more attacking on that first serve and probably get her out of some situations that she put herself in because her serve is just a point starter. Especially against people who are more consistent beyond the baseline.
And point about Garcia, I will say, her ball toss tends to give me a little bit of anxiety, just because it's so high. And
it is a very high toss.
It's very high, and I do believe Caroline Garcia is one of the WTA's most prominent examples of a confidence player. If she sets herself up to win 3 or 4 matches in a row, you can probably bet some money or a good bit of money that she's going to follow that up with a couple more wins in the next couple of weeks. But if she manages to lose 3 or 4 or 5 matches in a row, you can almost bet the exact same that she's going to continue that trend. So whatever trend she's on, she typically sticks to that trend until something that none of us can really describe switches.
I agree with that point. That's a very good point that you brought up. I think it's part of the reason why she's also a little bit below Sabalenka, because Sabalenka can kind of figure it out when the serve is not working, whereas as far as Caroline Garcia, when the serve is not working, it's just not working. So, yeah.
Interesting to see what's going to come out of this Sakkari serving at 4-5, 30-15 game, because it has been a game or a set of breaks, but they're setting each other up for a nervy end to a shaky first set. So interested to see what Sakkari is going to be able to pull out of the bag here in terms of her serving to stay in the set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say something similar, actually.
You go ahead.
I was going to say something similar because she's similar. I think she's actually serving. She's handling this last game pretty well at the minute. I'm not entirely sure although it's having said at 40-30. I agree with you. I think she's handling this pretty well. Could be very tight end of the match. Ash, what are you going to say?
No, I was just going to agree with Miles. I think that's a very good point that he brought up. I mean, this is a very shaky first set. That was a very tight hold that Pegula had. So coming out with a solid hold, even though for Sakkari can put that pressure right back on Pegula to see if Pegula can answer the bell again. So this is also a pretty pivotal game. These games right in the middle, the 7th, 8th, and 9th game in the middle are my favorite games in tennis because it separates the groupies, as my old band director used to say, separates the groupies from the rock stars in the tour. That's like one of the few things I've carried away from being a fan all my years.
Sakkari's getting herself fired up here because she went from 40-15 to deuce, and now she's 1 point to go advantage, and she's fist pumping hard. She's mad. The opening point, she missed it, and was very frustrated with herself. I think maybe she's the one who's maybe a bit more she's starting to show a little bit more positive emotion, maybe, or certainly some more fire. That can go either way. That can either burn you or be harnessed and fuel you. And Sakkari's at that tipping point right now.
I think she has to be fired up because I don't think she wants to be. She doesn't want to lose 3 consecutive sets to Pegula. So I think she's fired up to, at least, if he doesn't win this first set, at least to let Pegula know that she's going to be sticking around on that court to give it her all. So at least more competitive than we can agree. We can all agree more competitive so far than their match in Guadalajara.
Oh, yeah. I would say so. I think that's one of the few, like one of the other matches in their head to head where like the score line kind of tells you the match. That match was not competitive at all. It's kind of one-way traffic.
Sakkari held, by the way. She holds, and we're at 5-all in the first set. 52 minutes played, 52 minutes. So interesting first set for sure.
I feel like this first set is calling for a tiebreak. But we'll see if we'll get there. We'll see if we get there.
That tiebreak is going to be a nervy one if they do. That could be a really messy one. Don't see them holding serve much in that tiebreak, as Pegula manages to defend at the net pretty well to go 30 love up. Almost gets an ace, but not quite. I mean, Ashley, you're being called up by Hanya. She's trying to work out your phone skills.
I'm holding my phone. I am like tweeting. I am like multitasking, like at the same time. My phone is in my hand.
My phone is in the crevice. My phone is in the crevice of my laptop, trying to get the most accurate version or view of the points as they happen.
The reason why I'm angled this way is because my TV is here and I am here, and I was going to put it on my phone, but I am a genius, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing. But yeah, my phone's been in my hand the entire time. I have been looking up stats on my phone, doing all this kinds of stuff on my phone. My phone basically never leaves my hand. I know I sound like I'm addicted. I'm not addicted to my phone, y'all. I'm really not.
Crucial moment in this match. It's 30 all on the Pegula serve. So it's second serve for Pegula. Let's see how it goes. She double faults. And it's break point for Maria Sakkari. We are in a critical moment for the match. I'm going to keep talking here, and then I'll come to one of you to sort of analyze what happens. Maybe Miles, because he's probably a little bit further ahead of than Ashley. Pegula gets a first serve in, forehand to the Sakkari backhand, forehand up the middle of Pegula. She's kind of keeping everything a bit neutral, just hoping Sakkari makes a mistake. Sakkari goes a bit wider on the cross court. Sakkari makes Pegula move out, and Pegula puts it right into the net. But even if it got over the net, it was going into the doubles court. And it is now break to Sakkari. That was very much playing it too safe on that break point, hoping for an error. Sakkari just took control of it. Very much seems to be with her now, as I was hinting at maybe in the last game, with her emotional state. She seems to be one taking hold of this match now. I think she's serving this out. Miles, what do you think of that game, and do you see this happening?
I see a little bit more injection of pace, especially on those cross-court forehands from Sakkari. So I think if she keeps that momentum and keeps fighting her nerves and swings out through them in this game where she's serving out, trying to serve out the set, I think she can do it. I don't think she really wants to go down 3 consecutive sets to Pegula. I think she feels in her heart of hearts, when she measures up her game against Pegula, they seem like they get along great, but I think Sakkari likes her odds in that matchup. So I think that's what we're seeing, her just fighting her nerves and believing that she is the player with the most weapons out there, which I think she is. So I think we're going to see her hold serve. We're going to see her get some good first serve and cheap points.
Somebody knock on some wood, because we done jinxed her like 3 times.
I'm on a wood table as we speak. Okay?
I have a wooden desk right here. You know, I got a wooden drawer. Like 60% of the decor in my room is wood.
Not only do you have a wooden desk, but you have some Philly Eagles swag, according to Ghost of Garolatis.
Yes, I do. One of them is a painting that I painted during COVID, and then another one was a gift. But yes, that is the swag. I mean, you could see if I was at a different angle. It's just that my head would be in the way. And then I also didn't want the TV to show the image and we get copyright striked because I don't want to ruin John's channel. That's Nick's responsibility. That's all on Nick. I am not putting any of the burden on me. I'm not putting
Question.
I'm not ruining it. Like, apparently I should be working for the BBC.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Someone's getting a little sassy, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Sakkari runs for a drop shot, but can't quite get it back. And Pegula is now love 15 on the serve as Sakkari grits her teeth. Thanks for Ghost for the stat that Pegula's serve is 49%. Yeah, that's probably where a lot of our problems are coming from. Her second serve just doesn't have enough on it to cause Sakkari problems. Sakkari has to sabotage herself to fail against that second serve.
At least we're getting some of those, lengthy rallies at the tail end of the set, which I think they both are capable of. So I'm happy to see that they're using their legs and swinging out a little bit more on their ground strokes.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Strong serve from Sakkari, but can't get a real stroke on it. It goes into the net. Sakkari's fist pumping, and Pegula is shouting at herself. So it's now 15 all. We're going to try and focus on this game a little bit. I don't know why Ghost is saying this because I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so Saz can maybe give me some context. As it's a second forehand and Sakkari backhand to Pegula into the net, and it's 30-15 for Maria Sakkari. So unless, of course, he's talking about Jon Snow, the British broadcaster. It doesn't work for the BBC. He works for Channel 4, which is what got me confused. I think he might be retired now. But yeah, he was a news broadcaster rather than a sports broadcaster, primarily.
What are the odds that there would be two giants?
Right, possibly. Yeah, how is your cheerleading? Oh, excellent. We couldn't go anywhere without you shouting and making us feel good about ourselves while we're commentating, Hanya. Anyway, 30 all on the Sakkari serve. She's trying to serve out. She's either 2 points away from getting the set or 2 points away from the tie break. One word answer. Third set or tie break? Second set or tie break?
Ooh, that's that forehand chop miss to bring us to 30 all is not great from Sakkari. You said your one word question. What was that again, Nick? Sorry, I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, tie break or are we going second set?
I think Sakkari holds and we go.
Never mind. It's break point.
Yikes.
Break.
For me now, it's break point. It's break point for Pegula as she got there with a winner. Sakkari's taken her time before serving, and Sakkari serves first serve in.
What a winner from
Sakkari tries to go back behind. He's ready for forehand Pegula. Drop shot. Sakkari goes into the net. We are into a tie break. Bring it up. This is what this set deserves. Bring on the chaos.
I manifested this.
You're going to win this. I love it.
I manifested the chaos. I'm sorry, Miles. I know you wanted Sakkari to serve.
Hey, Sakkari can still pull out that tiebreaker. She can still pull it out. It's okay.
Oh yeah, she probably can.
I'm just happy to see her. Well, some of that drop shot to bail out of that game, and then one of those chop forehands aren't great. But again, I'm seeing some signs of her trying to hit out. So as long as she keeps doing that, even if she loses this first set, the mindset is there, I think, and that's the largest portion of Sakkari's game.
Pegula frames a forehand to go an early mini break down 1-0. Sakkari has now got two serves. So Sakkari is bouncing the ball, twisting the racket, and she serves sort of very short. Pegula gets it back into play, gets her out wide, is now moving Sakkari around the baseline. Pegula goes back behind, tries to go back behind, puts it in the net, and it's 2-0. It's a shame. She was in control of that point. She was, maybe not in control, but she was certainly in the ascendancy in the point. Just couldn't pull off the running forehand cross court to get it over the net. Hanya's apparently ahead of us. No spoilers, please, Hanya. Although having said that, I'm sitting here spoiling everything for Ashley and Miles. But they seem chill with it.
Yeah, I've been
first set as the first set.
I've been content. I've been content with my live here in Atlanta being like a point behind everybody else's for like 2 years now or so. So it's okay.
Yeah, same here. I'm right there with you, Miles. Like
we're really good rally here. Forehand Sakkari, forehand Pegula cross court. They're moving each other around the baseline. Let cord Sakkari drops sharply right in front of the net. We were talking about that, and that really went in Sakkari's shot. I thought it was going to be one of those ones from the camera angle where it kind of jumps and sort of lands middle of the court, but it's just suddenly the spin drags it down almost 90 degrees and it drops, and Pegula cannot run for it. That's 2 points that Pegula was kind of looking good in. It ends up losing, and it's now 3-0 Sakkari at the start of the tiebreak.
The power of the
serves, really good, strong serve. And Sakkari puts the ball into the middle of the net, trying to always right at Pegula. She didn't really know what to do with Pegula standing at the net. So that's the first Pegula in this tiebreak. You guys will probably have to comment on what you see. Maybe when we get to the change of ends in the tiebreak, you could kind of maybe comment on some highlights that you've seen from this. Any moments that was good.
My coverage is replaying the let or the pop-up let cord in the middle of the ground stroke rally.
Oh gosh, you're a bit behind. Yeah, you're definitely a bit behind. As it's now 3-2, Pegula manages to hold. So Sakkari got one more serve before they swap sides. This feels tense. Pegula's kind of into this tiebreak. It's almost like the beginning of the set where Sakkari had the better start, but Pegula's worked her way in slowly to get back on terms. So maybe that's how I see it going. We'll get to 3-3 when we swap sides. As Sakkari serves, gets it back in. It's kind of neutral rally in the middle of the court. Neither of them are really going for it yet. Pegula backing Pegula out a little bit. Who's quickly getting back to center. Slice from Pegula. Sakkari goes cross court. Pegula tries to do the running forehand down, but misses, and it's wide at 4-2. So, yeah, we change ends with Sakkari in the ascendancy still. This set has definitely had some momentum shifts because there was one point which was with Sakkari and there was with Pegula, and then Sakkari stole the momentum back when Pegula dipped, and then Pegula had to fight back, and then Sakkari had to serve. And yeah, we talk about it being a lot of breaks, and definitely been nerves, but I think it's fair to say that the momentum's never really stayed with the other as much as it's been one player not quite making it, and it was sort of going off a little bit when they get into the ascendancy. You have to credit Pegula for digging deep and coming back at Sakkari.
Very interesting to see the amount of. I'd be interested to see the stats because I don't know, but from a visual standpoint, Pegula is producing more errors than I thought she would in this match.
Yeah, I noticed that too. She's typically a cleaner player. She doesn't make too many errors. I don't know if it's the nerves of her. This is her first tournament, and she's also the first match on. So I don't know if nerves are playing a role into that, but she's definitely not playing her queenest tennis at the moment. She can definitely clean it up in the second, and if it possibly goes to a third in the third set. But yeah.
Is this Pegula we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We go into Pegula's serve, and it's she holds it there, so it's 5-3 for Sakkari at this stage. Ghost is asking me if I have the unforced errors numbers. I don't. I am not Statman today, as I have been on other streams, because I'm focusing on chatting to these two. I'm chatting with you in the chat, and trying to also keep an eye on the match. So trying to do stats as well would be a bit of a challenge. If either of you to be stat guy, go for it. But also it's the WTA, and they don't seem to give unforced errors as a stat.
They sure don't.
Frustrating.
I done found it.
Yeah.
I found it. I did some digging.
You found it?
Yes. Never question a journalist with a phone in her hand.
This is why we have the actual journalist on the stream.
We try. Pegula has 16 winners according to this little app here. Has 16 winners to 18 unforced, and Sakkari has 10 winners to 18 unforced. So 15
unforced errors, but Pegula's hit more winners.
Yes.
Which
I'm sorry, I missed.
Make me think that maybe Sakkari's forced some more errors.
Yeah, Sakkari's forced some more errors. I misspoke. Sakkari has 15 unforced errors. I misspoke on that. That was my fault. I was reading across. But yeah, I think Sakkari has forced a little bit more errors, especially in the rallies where they're playing in the center of the court, where they're not really trying to take an advantage. And then Pegula's kind of like, in a situation where she has to kind of take a step in. So I guess it's more of a forced error, but this is listing as an unforced error. So, yeah, those rallies where they're in the middle of the court, I think Sakkari is kind of holding her own a little bit in those areas. And Jessica's just coming undone in the middle of those rallies.
Sure.
Sakkari has
we're on set point, so we're going to concentrate on this. We'll come back to this in a second. We're on set point, but Sakkari misses the first serve, or maybe that was a let. I'm not sure. I don't have the sound on, but thanks Hanya for notifying me. But yeah, second serve, Pegula gets it back into play. Sakkari goes on the attack and misses with the forehand. Just goes for tries to go for a haymaker winner, and just goes inside out, goes wide. He just wasn't in the right position to attempt something like that. That was a go for broke shot, handing away the mini break, and now Pegula is serving set point down. So it's another set point to Sakkari, but it's on Pegula's serve. As Pegula gets it in, drops it in, forehand cross court, Sakkari runs for it. It lands just on the line. Sakkari's on the run. Pegula's trying to move her around. She's just getting to everything at the minute, but not that one. Sakkari tries to run that down, but it just goes wide. Did well to keep in the point, but yeah, as I've said earlier, Pegula's fought her way back into this as the change ends again.
Momentum hasn't stuck with either player for much longer than a point or two, so it's about right.
Yeah. I mean, it was coming. Like, Pegula was definitely pushing to get that mini break back. I'm surprised it took her this long. But she's got it down. So, I think we're at a deserved point. It's tiebreaker 6-all. So this could be highly, highly entertaining. So I'm going to commentate until the end of the tiebreak, and then I'll come to you guys for kind of a post-set analysis, probably Miles first. So Pegula serves out. So she's got a second serve. She's a bit tense, but she gets it in. Sakkari runs around to hit the forehand. Forehand Pegula. It's out. It is out. It was a good return from Sakkari. Risky return in the way she did it, but she's now got a third set point, and it's on her serve. So let's see if she can capitalize on this one. She's just getting the balls now, walking up, taking her time, using her 25 seconds. It's very hard to commentate on this because I'm seeing his ball bouncing, but she now brings up and serves wide. Well, that was a bit of build up for nothing, wasn't it? So harsh, but true. Anyway, second serve from Sakkari It goes into the body serve. Really good. Sakkari tries to bring it in, passes her. Pegula has her racket out, doesn't quite connect, and the ball lands well inside the baseline. It was almost like a sort of reluctant reach. It was like, do I need to reach for this or not? Oh, no, I did. And Sakkari now has the first set 7-6, deservedly, because she was the more assertive and aggressive player in that set and was the one taking control, and Pegula was the one on defensive. But credit to Jessica for making that close. But this is a very interesting match. Miles, what was your take on that set?
Sakkari played like she did not want to lose an additional set to Pegula. She had to fight her nerves, which I feel like is something that's going to be an ongoing battle throughout her career. She reminds me so much of Mauresmo in that way, where you can tangibly almost feel the pressure she's fighting against through the television. I felt that way about Mauresmo, but it's good to see her be able to fight that battle and come out on the winning side, even when either of them weren't playing their best tennis. So kudos to Sakkari for plugging along and keeping it together just long enough to squeak out that first set for sure. Not the most highlight reel worthy first set tiebreaker, but not a bad start to the WTA finals either. If that's an indication of how it's going to be, then we are in for some scrappy, entertaining tennis.
Scrappy, entertaining tennis. That's the WTA in a nutshell, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Ashley, what was your take on that set?
Yeah, it was definitely a tale of momentum shifts in that first set. Sakkari came out and kind of got the early advantage, even though she struggled a little bit in her first service game, and then Jessica Pegula kind of worked her way into it. But Sakkari was clearly the cleaner player, clearly the more aggressive player. Like Miles said, she played like she didn't want to lose that first set. And whereas Jessica was kind of like coasting along at some periods of time and waiting for Sakkari to kind of make a mistake or mentally break down. And Sakkari didn't just but she just didn't break. She bended a little bit mentally at some points, but she didn't break. And I think that's kind of the stuff you want to see from Sakkari. Like, there are going to be the dips, there are going to be the ebbs and flows in a match. No one's ever perfectly mentally locked in at all points of a match. But if you can still find yourself and get up for the points that you need to get through and kind of get through all those like little valleys that you have, the peaks will be a little bit better. So I think Sakkari definitely deserved to win that set. I think she was the better player. I think she navigated the ebbs and flows of that first set a little bit better than Jessie Pegula did. Not very clean from Jessie, not a very clean start. Not sure if it was nerves, not sure if it was Sakkari, the level that she kind of came out with kind of startled her, or if it was a combination of both. But Jessica will have to lock in because Sakkari's looking like she don't want to lose. So
that was a confident forehand winner from Sakkari to start the second set. I was going to say, if you judge by the momentum and how the set's been going, or the match has been going, then maybe Pegula might win this set and make it even, which I wouldn't be surprised by, although it would probably not be the best thing for me because I have to go to the office in about 9 hours. But hey, who needs sleep? There's tennis on. I'm sure, Miles, you've probably been in that position many times before when it's been in crazy countries like Australia.
I was just about to say, Australia is the one that always starts my year off a little wonky, and it's just the price I have to pay for being a tennis fan, especially when Serena is battling breaks down against Kuznetsova and Azarenka and all of the like for the past decade plus. So yeah, I'm okay with it. You get sleep when you can.
Here's a question. Do you prefer waking up to tennis or going to sleep to tennis? Both of you.
Ashley, you go first.
Oh, wow. The honor. Thank you. See, this is why I kind of like the U.S. Open, because I rather tennis end my day than start my day. Because now I say end my day. Don't be like Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz. It was a great match. Never do that again. Period. Point blank. Never again. But I prefer my matches to be ending because I work during the day. I'm a student. I do other stuff during the day, so I would rather like come home and relax in tennis than wake up and then like I wake, especially during the French Open and Wimbledon, I wake up and like half the matches are going or like it's starting and I missed some stuff and I'm like trying to catch up really quick and stuff like that. So I prefer falling to sleep to tennis because then after the last match is done, I can just go night night and it's all over. So
I am a little bit of the opposite, only because I distinctly remember when I first started to get my feet wet in watching tennis. This was when VHS players were still a thing. And I used to record matches like from the very beginning of the session at Wimbledon and the French Open and stuff like that from ball one. And I do feel a little bit that if a match is great at night, I want to talk about it either online with somebody in a format like this or something like that. So when the tennis is good at night, it keeps me up even longer, especially if it's good and I want to talk about it. But something about waking up to like a nice breakfast at Wimbledon, no pun intended, is nice as well. I'm kind of cut in between, but if I had to choose, I think I would choose early morning tennis so we could talk about it for the rest of the day. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. And I do know what you mean, Ashley. And I'm the same as you in that I prefer the tennis to finish and I get to be able to catch all of it when it's in a nice European time zone. US time zone for you or sort of that area. Sort of North America, South America, yeah, I get it. But sometimes as tennis fans, we know we don't always have that option. I know, Miles, that I like waking up to tennis as well. Like when Australia's happening, it's quite nice to wake up and have the tennis on in the mornings. It got me through a lot of my January exams when I was in college. And I mean US. I don't mean college in the British sense. I mean college in the US sense. Because I don't know if you know that college in Britain's a different thing. But when I was and even before that, I was doing my sort of pre-university courses. Getting up and getting ready for my January exams. It was nice to have on whilst I was revising, so I have a little bit of nostalgia there. But I'm more maybe with Ashley in that I like to try and watch tennis as late as possible, especially now I'm working. Because
we're spoiled.
Tennis is so guarantee I'm going to watch much.
We're spoiled as a sport, I believe, just because we have so much variety in where the sport ebbs and flows throughout that year-long season. I mean, it's very rare that you can go an entire week without watching some kind of tennis, regardless of what time zone it's in. So we're a little spoiled in certain ways.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think you can be a fan around the world. At some point, it will fit into your time zone. It's not like a British NFL fan or a British sort of basketball fan. We don't get many British baseball fans for some reason. I think it's because we have cricket. It's the crazy time zones. Likewise for you guys, probably trying to follow something that only happens over here. But I'm talking and waffling when there's a match going on. Interesting things are happening in this match. It's now 15-40 on the Pegula serve. Sakkari is fired up. Pegula looks a bit flat. Maybe it's a bit disappointed she couldn't wrestle that first set from Sakkari. I'm going to talk through what happens next. Don't know how far you are ahead as Pegula nets her first serve. There is a definite shrugging of the shoulders after that one. Deep sigh as she gets the second serve in. Backhand Sakkari. Forehand. Pegula's just sort of middle. She's not really going for the corners. Slices it and comes into the net, and Sakkari puts the backhand at the top of the net, trying to go for a passing shot that was going to go wide anyway. 30-40 on the Pegula serve. Sakkari just covering her mouth, thinking she probably should have got that. Probably would agree with her. Pegula serves, misses again. That stats that were shared earlier, that I think it's very clear her first serve is low. Backhand Sakkari, backhand Pegula, forehand Sakkari, forehand Pegula trying to move Sakkari, but goes long, and it is a break to Maria Sakkari. I'm going to just waffle for 10 seconds and let one of you catch on point, and then you can give your view on sort of why that break might have happened. But to me, Pegula's been trying to play a little bit too safe. And I also think that she's definitely a little bit frustrated, and that serve isn't working for her, and that's where she's struggling with. Whereas Sakkari is definitely able to attack a bit more, and she's getting herself in trouble a little bit because she is missing when she's over attacking, but she's not wasting too many opportunities. Miles, you're nodding there.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting. I've been picking up on it all match that Pegula just looks irritated, more irritated than I've probably seen as irritated as I've seen her on court since that semifinal against Simona Halep with the iconic "she's pushing." Yeah, and she's not helping her. Yeah, it's pretty iconic. It's a pretty wonderful moment from 2022. But she's not helping her case any by the long misses or the misses wide, which are uncharacteristic for her. And her mindset and positivity level that's typically even keel isn't there right now. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Sakkari does a 6-3, 6-2 kind of set. But we are talking about Maria Sakkari here playing at one of the biggest tournaments in the year. So anything could change.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, anything could change in this match. I mean, it's 15-all. We've seen plenty of times from the first set. Let's not just assume Sakkari's going to run away with this. And let's not just assume that Pegula is going to continue in this state of mind, because we've seen her throughout the year pick herself back up and solidify and stabilize and back to playing tennis that's got her to number 3 in the world now, although it stays that way. Obviously, the double finals and the way the points are distributed can change a lot. But yeah, we're in an interesting situation. I mean, Ashley, do you think we're going to have another crazy set, or do you think Sakkari's going to? Oh, what a shot from Sakkari to keep herself in the rally. Sorry, I was going to ask you a question. She gets herself a smash at the net to finish that point off, but that sort of forehands to get to third to keep herself in the rally was impressive. She's definitely running everything down. Ashley, would you say the momentum's heavily with Sakkari right now?
I mean, I'd say so. I don't think there's any indication that any momentum is with Jessie at the moment. I think Jessie is kind of bewildered at the level she's seeing at Sakkari. I don't know if she expected it from Sakkari or whatnot, but she hasn't really adjusted all that well. And Maria's just kind of taken what Jessie has given her and kind of ran with it. So I think the momentum is fully in Maria's corner at the moment.
Great pickup for Sakkari. They're replaying that point in my tennis channel coverage here, but that's one of the advantages Sakkari has over Pegula, even in terms of just like brute strength and racket head speed. She can be just that little bit more athletic enough to stay in points, and she proved it with that squash shot that set her up with an easy put away volley. So she has that ability to kind of either stay in a point or break a point open that she should utilize a little bit more of, I think.
I agree. I think, for lack of a better term, I think that like her athleticism and her ability to kind of shift direction in a point to kind of break it open is kind of one of her more underrated traits, for lack of a better term. Maybe because she doesn't use it as much and a lot of people maybe don't pick up on it, but she is very athletic. She's probably one of the more athletic players on the WTA tour. Not to say that they're not all athletic. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. But she has the ability to kind of just change how a rally goes. But
oh my God.
Miles, don't look at me. Miles, don't look at me.
No, I thought my mind went to a player that I probably wouldn't put in the athletic category, but I won't say it.
I said most of them. I'd be like, most of them are athletic. I mean, they're more athletic than me.
She's a very accomplished former world number one player. I'll say.
I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about, and I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm just going to use this. I'm going to use this opportunity as the change events to just highlight some comments that maybe I've missed before. So John highlighting the disappointing crowd, which we talked about earlier. John, if you weren't with us when we had that conversation, we think it's because it's Halloween, and Halloween is a much bigger deal in the US than it is in the UK. If you've ever been in the literally in the UK, I've literally had one load of trick or treat just walk past my house. They didn't even knock on my door. It's a thing in the UK, but no one feels any obligation to do it. It's just certain groups of people. So
that's because the US is like a walking house of horrors, so we celebrate that basically.
We're getting political here. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. We could. She was also asking, Ashley, are you going to use that fan?
My ceiling fan? No, it's a little warm still down here in Alabama. One day out of November, I understand. It was like pushing 80 degrees one day away from November. I ain't using my fan. It's hot outside, and it's like the way it's set up, because like I have my window slightly cracked because the air conditioning is not working at the moment, so it kind of circulates the hot air that's coming in, so it makes it even worse, and I wake up sweating in the middle of the night.
Interesting stat that Tennis Channel showing the last 4 games as far as points won to points lost. It's 12 points Sakkari, 4 points Pegula. So statistically and just visually looking at the match, the momentum is definitely with Sakkari up a set in 3-love.
Yeah, the eye test is proven to be right. I just really think that when not winning that tiebreak, or at least not taking advantage, I think Jessie Pegula went up 5-4 in that first set and probably had a chance to go and close out that set 6-4. So really just kind of not locking in and winning that set at 6-4, even in the tiebreak, kind of deflated her a little bit, and Sakkari's just kind of running away with it at the moment.
That being said, this service game right now is very positive for Jessica Pegula. She's raced to 40 love, helped out a little bit by a let cord there, but still a lot more kind of positive play from her, kind of going for it, although still can't find that first serve, which is possibly frustrating. Well, it'd be definitely frustrating. Look, do either of you? I have a stupid question. Do either of you guys play tennis much, as Pegula holds to love?
I actually don't. I'm more of a watcher. My knees don't work like they used to before.
You're the youngest person in this conversation by several years, Ashley. I did not think you would be the one to say this.
I put my knees through a lot. Okay. Marching band did a number on my knees. I would love to play.
What it is? Is that why my knees are a little creaky from carrying my tuba around? Interesting. I did not know that.
Maybe a little. It may be. Yeah. So I would love actually to play a little bit more. I live in a complex that has a tennis court right, like literally like within walking distance. So I could play more. I'm just gonna get me a racket and a little ball machine and just start hitting the ball. I have when I do play, I have a pretty decent forehand and a serve. Everything else is trash, but the serve and the forehand is gonna get the job done every single time.
That sounds like most professional tennis players, to be honest.
I feel like if you follow my my profiles on social media, you've heard me say this before, but when I'm playing consistently, which I haven't been in like the last 2 months or so, when I'm playing consistently, I liken my game to Petra Kvitova.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a lefty as well, so yeah, I watch more than I play, but I've been playing ever since I started watching, on and off. So yeah, I'm like if Petra Kvitova was a little taller and from a different background.
And in multiple ways. Yeah, that's interesting. I am like, I hate to say it, I think I probably put myself in the big serving counter puncher category.
So are you Medvedev?
Like a Medvedev, sadly, but and even then, that's when my serve works because my serve goes in first serve goes in less than half the time, and my second serve dribbles over the net. I believe my coach when I was a teenager referred to it as a pansy second serve.
Pansy.
It's really improved with age.
I have not heard that word in quite a while, and it is a word that stings. Pansy. Oh my gosh.
If somebody called my second serve a pansy second serve, I would just quit on the spot. Like, you would never see me pick up a tennis racket again.
I come from the school of Serena, so if you called me anything that I felt like was testing my ability to compete with you, it'd probably make me compete a little harder.
Listen,
well, that's what happened to me as well. I just went, no, I'm gonna keep playing because I love this game and I'm gonna win eventually. And I lose more than I win, but I do get those wins and I savor it.
I'm here for that. I love the competitive nature that you guys both have. I unfortunately left all that competitive nature back in high school when I did competitive marching band for 4 years. So any competitive nature that I had has been gone since 2018.
Sakkari's playing with a lot of good momentum here. She has some game points to go up 4-1, which leads me to an interesting point that I think Lindsay Davenport called on when she was calling a Sakkari match. Like a lot of the matches she's played in Guadalajara last week. Was that last week? Yes, a couple days ago. She's so much more of a player to keep an eye on when she's down or a little bit tight in the score compared to when she has a couple game lead or a break lead. For whatever reason, I think she is able to open up her shoulders and play her best tennis when she's really down or having to like really scrap compared to when she is the clear favorite or in a very favorable position in the match. So I would keep an eye out on that just in case things get tight in this second set. Which it looks like they might. She's serving at 3-1, 40-30 on my side.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and it's second serve. We've all caught up with each other, which is great. She's actually got along with that forehand as well. So now it's juice. And it's interesting you describe that because actually I would also put Coco Gauff in that category as well. Someone who scraps pretty hard, but may get a little bit nervous when they have an advantage. We've seen how she's struggled to close matches out, and some of that's going to be age and it'll get better, but I think Davenport might be right, and I think she might also be right about Sakkari as well, although having said that, again, it depends on who she's playing and how deep into a match it is. I mean, yes, we could think of her losing to Krejcikova in that French Open semi-final, but we can also think of her beating Bianca Andreescu in the US Open fourth round in what was last year, which was an amazing match and involved a lot of clutch play from her to get that win. That's what I think of as Sakkari's head message.
If she goes into a match feeling, and you can kind of feel, you can get the sense of when she does this. And I think back to her 2 matches in 2020 against Serena, which is some of the best tennis I've ever seen her play. When she feels like she's an underdog or she is settled on believing that she doesn't have much to lose in a match, that's when she usually plays her best tennis. And that feeling is kind of recreated when she's down in a score or a game or a particular match. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Ashley, do you have anything to add to that?
I really don't. I agree with Miles on that statement.
Okay, yeah, I think we'll focus on this game then because it's juice. Yeah. And it's 3-1. It could be crucial. Pegula hits an inside-out backhand winner. Yeah, it was a winner. It looked like a winner as she's celebrating, and she seems to have got her mojo back a bit. I think Sakkari's also dipped a little bit. She's missing a little bit more. That fire is overdoing it. Yeah, we're the minute we start saying Sakkari's great, it's not going well. So I'm going to commentate here. It's advantage to Pegula to get the set back on serve. First serve in from Sakkari. Pegula gets it back in play. Backhand as Pegula's going for the backhand, trying to then move her around to the forehand, but they're kind of keeping it neutral. Pegula again just not going for the line. She's going around, but Sakkari is now running for it, and Pegula wins as Sakkari nets. So we are back on serve. That was Pegula's trying to play smart. She's not trying to go for big winners, but she's trying to strategically place it to move Sakkari around enough. And then that last part, she really kind of, again, it wasn't a sharp angle, but it was enough to make Sakkari run for it and not quite pick it up. So good on her, smart gameplay there to get her back on serve.
It is very smart because that means she knows. I mean, she should know her opponent at this point. They played more than a handful of times, even this season alone. But she knows she's playing against a player who doesn't love being the front runner. Like we just basically talked it into existence. She was up 3-1, had points for 4-1, and could very well in a couple of minutes be done with this entire match. And here we are again. Things get a little tight. So it's interesting when I think about Sakkari, because she's relatively new on the upper echelon scene of the WTA, but she'll be 28 next year, which is not old by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely not necessarily fresh blood on the tour. So that makes me think of, like, even before she became a more of a high billing ticket on the WTA, what kind of situations was she putting herself in matches that weren't necessarily televised or top tier billing, where she doesn't feel comfortable being the front runner? That makes me think about that, because at 27, almost 28, some of that stuff is just built-in memory. So it must be in a situation where she's just used to being the player that wins her matches by coming from behind, or something along those lines, instead of being a player that can have all the momentum and have a clear-cut road to the W and kind of veer off of that. It must be something that has happened a lot. And I'm not trying to play like sports psychologist here, but it in stark contrast to what we said about Coco Gauff, maybe something she'll grow out of age. I'm not sure the tide is going to turn that way for Sakkari to be a player that can handle being a front runner well. It just doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Goodbye to Ghost. He's off. He says he's going across town to babysit a mini poodle. I
love poodles.
He's having to miss out on Coventry. Shame, this chat's going to get a bit quiet. So those of you who are left, come on, keep talking with us, because you are the commentators on this channel. We're here talking tennis for a reason. It's not just the three of us on the screen. We want to hear your input as well. As whilst we've been talking, and I wasn't really paying attention, suddenly it's 40 love to Pegula, who's now the confident-looking one. And it's weird how the momentum's shifting in this match. First serve's gone in as well. Pegula does the drop shot, and Sakkari can't get to it, and holds to love. And suddenly we've been talking about the momentum being with Sakkari. Is it now with Pegula, Ashley?
It is, and I have no earthly idea. Sorry, Ashley. I have no idea.
You're more than welcome to take it, Ashley.
I have no idea how the Maria hardcore stands. I have no idea how they stomach this, because I consider myself a fan of hers, and even watching some of her matches, I'm just like, why are we stifling and stuttering when we have the momentum?
I like to call it suffering succotash our way through something.
That's good.
I like to call it suffering succotash. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater of Sakkari. I'm very neutral on her. But I am even like, Maria, come on now. It was, the ball was in your court. It was in your hand. You better go for the alley oop. Like, what's going on? It must be tough for hardcore fans to watch her have spells of really good tennis, and she was playing some really good tennis during that 3-0 run that she had, and then for her to just kind of fall off like that
quickly,
very quickly. It's giving very much Jekyll and Hyde, and it's frustrating because you can see when she's on, she definitely deserves to be up at the top echelon. You can see that she has all the traits of what you would want to look for in a top player at the WTA level. It's just those Jekyll and Hyde moments where she just flips and everything just kind of goes wrong. She starts overthinking stuff. I listen, I'm not a sports psychologist and consider that at a period of time studying psychology, but I ain't going to do that. I have already enough mess in my brain. I don't need to be studying other people's mess. But it's just really puzzling to me. And it's very frustrating it's considering I'm very neutral in Sakkari, so I can't imagine how a hardcore fan feels about these ebbs and flows in the matches.
Yeah, for sure. Although having said that, talking of ebbs and flows, well, Sakkari got raced to 40 love. She's then just put a forehand into the high part of the net to make it 40-15.
Trying to stop some of the bleeding because she bled out a little bit for a couple of minutes there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta stop the bleeding. Gotta put a tourniquet on it. Do something.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that doesn't get into her head, because like that could have been a decent, could have been a hold to love for Sakkari. So let's see what happens here. Pegula gets the ball back in play. Sakkari's quite short, but Pegula tries to attack on the backhand and puts it in the net. So we're going to a change of ends. Sakkari 4-3 up on serve. So that was a good momentum stopping game by Sakkari, just kind of reestablish herself in this match and go, nope, I'm not crumbling. I'm still here, and I wouldn't be surprised if she breaks this next game.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that he's no longer here, but I was scrolling through the chat. I found an interesting question for me and Miles that Ghost had put out there. We can still answer it because he can go back and watch the stream. But he had it was a little bit directly he can, but listen, I'm gonna tell him to come back. Tell him they to come back and watch it. But the question was, are y'all? This is to me and Miles. Seeing much interest or support for tennis for girls and women on that side in the South where we are. So you in Georgia and then me in Alabama. So you can go first if you want, Miles.
Yes. I think my perspective on it is colored a little bit differently, just with me being Black and in the South and realizing that tennis is not ordinarily like the first sport talked about in large event settings or like family settings or things like that. But I do find myself hearing conversations out in public or just at work or stuff like that about tennis. And a lot of it I would put towards Coco Gauff and Naomi Osaka just doing things or playing well and having the conversation be around tennis, and people realizing that it is possible to be a woman from the South and maybe not have all of the typical means of a tennis player and still provide a really good living for yourself and just be competitive and have the option. Even if players don't end up professional, I think it's good to just see players like Coco and Naomi. I'm missing some people, even Sloane and Madison Keys, just do well and be on their television screen. So yeah, I think we're trending in a positive direction, especially off the tails of COVID, where pretty much everybody wanted to experiment with a racket in their hand because that was one of the few things you could do. So yeah.
Yeah, I am in a little bit of a different situation than Miles is, considering even though we are next door neighbors, the dynamic of states kind of change going from Georgia to Alabama. And Alabama football is kind of ranking because you have two really flagship programs. Well, I say flagship. I mean, Auburn's kind of in shambles at the moment. You have Auburn and Alabama, and they kind of get the talk of the town around here. But I say that to say that there is interest, little pockets of interest of tennis. I would say more towards the men's side than it is to the women's side. But there is a pocket of interest of watching tennis and playing tennis. I've had friends come up to me and be interested in what I'm watching, what match is on. They'll sit in and let me talk about it and explain to them to it. A lot of my friends play. I know a couple of club tennis players here at the university. So yeah, there is definitely an interest in the South. I think because the South is so known to be like a football oriented region. You know, college football is big down here. NFL is big down here. Even high school football is big down here. It's football everywhere, that we kind of forget that really the South just loves sports. Mm-hmm. They just love sports. And I think having an event as the WTA finals in the South is really important for kind of building that relationship with different players, different teams, different fans that are tennis fans that live in the South. or in the South Midwestern region of the U.S. Because technically Texas is considered more Midwest, even though it's in the South. But yeah, I do. There is definitely interest down here in the South. Not as big or as loud as football, but I think there's definitely some interest there. There's club teams here. There's different types of dynamics here in the South. But yeah, having an event like this can prove very crucial to the relationship that has in the South. Particularly getting more women interested in it. We already have like men's tournaments. There's Houston, there's Dallas, and then there's I believe Atlanta as well.
Dallas.
So having an event that is a premier women's tennis event in the South, whereas typically hasn't happened too much, outside of maybe Florida, is very, very crucial.
Just a shout out before we get back to the match, because it's at 4-all now. Sometimes it gets lost in the mix because it, for whatever reason, doesn't shine as bright. But one of the longest women's only events on the tennis tour is in the South, in South Carolina, Charleston. The family Cup. Yeah.
Charleston. I forgot to put. I'm sorry. I need to put some respect on Charleston's name. I apologize. That kind of slipped my mind. But yeah,
see, it happens. It's okay. It's one of the rare tournaments on green clay, so it's just one of those things. But
I feel like but that was a really valuable conversation, and I hope that what Ashley's saying is right. That this event being in Texas really helps grow the sports fan base, regardless of the empty crowds. Let's see this plate. Let's see how the rest of the week pans out. That last game, going back to the match at hand, that last game was another comfortable hold from Pegula. This match seems to have changed a little bit from like being a sort of I'm trying not to use that phrase because I made that stupid joke earlier, but sort of all those a match of breaks defined by breaks to being a match defined by holds at the minute.
Which is interesting. Very interesting.
It is very interesting.
Interesting dynamic.
Backhand.
I think the last couple of games are more even, because just a couple of games ago it was about 12 or so points compared to 4 points for 12 points for Sakkari compared to 4 points for Pegula. But now it's about even, which is reflected in the score. We're dead even, 30 love, Sakkari serving at 4-all. So a lot of things can change in a couple of minutes, especially with this particular player. I'll put it down to Sakkari's ebbs and flows. Pegula typically, when I watch her matches, doesn't have this many ebbs and flows, but today she's just in one of those moods, it seems like. But Sakkari, this is fairly standard from her side of the net. She typically has ebbs and flows in her matches.
Kind of to build off of that point that she just made. Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to change this up. If you want to have a point jump off, go for it.
Yeah, to kind of build off that point, Miles, I think we're kind of reaching the point where we may see both of them play at a high level together. Mm-hmm. We've seen Jessie kind of raise up her level and Sakkari dip. We've seen Sakkari be at the top level and Jessica kind of be below. Now we're kind of at like an even plateau to kind of where they would meet maybe and play at a high level together. And I hope we get to see that, because when they're both at the top of their game, it could be some really like highlight reel producing tennis.
Let's hope for that. Well, it could be critical because obviously we're now at 5-4. This could be the last game of the set, and going to a third if Sakkari comes out and just sort of falters a bit, as we've seen her do a couple of times. So certainly Pegula's being a bit more solid this set. This latter half of the set. Compared to pretty much the entire match before that. So, it's 5-4 Sakkari. So, I don't know why I got that mixed up. I think my head's in the first set. But yeah, so this match could be over in a game. So, I think let's just pay a little bit more attention to the conclusion if it does end now. We've got a few discussion topics maybe to cover at the end, as Pegula starts off and hits a forehand winner to sort of nice 1-2 or 1-2-3 punch from Pegula to open the game. confident start. She knows that she needs to come out swinging to get herself in this. So again, she's picked up the pace now. That she's not dragging things out between points in the same way. Still missed the first serve, but whatever. Let's see how Sakkari's returns. Good. And yeah, Pegula's definitely moving Sakkari around as much as she can now. Comes into the net to finish it. Sakkari can't pick that ball up. It's 30-love. Yeah, this could be going to another tight set, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, for the sake of my stomach, I would hope that Sakkari can pull this out in 2 straight sets. But
Miles, if you need to disappear off the stream, then just turn your camera off or just duck out and get some food and then come back in. We're perfectly fine with you needing to do that, especially if it goes to a third. They might well both go off court if it goes to a third, as Sakkari hits the winner and fist pumps, ready for this. She's coming for this. She wants to win this match here and now, and I don't blame her, because the last thing you want, the more it drags out, the less guaranteed a win it is. So let's see how she plays this next point. As good serve from Pegula, but another good return, and they're kind of hitting the lines, but Sakkari just wide on the inside out forehand, and she's shouting at herself for missing that 40-15. Yeah, Pegula is that was a really good point from Pegula.
You know what I think
Sakkari
it is? In Europe, you guys must have shorter commercials. I think America loves commercials a little bit more, because we're not even close to on the same spectrum.
No, we're not.
I have no commercials on this. I have no commercials on my stream.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Got it.
It must be nice.
Amazon Prime. I'm watching an Amazon Prime, which obviously is Amazon. They don't need commercials. Hashtag not sponsored. This is not a commercial for Amazon. Or Amazon, I should say, if I'm speaking to Americans.
Oh, wow.
I'm not attempting the accent, don't worry. I'm not here to insult you.
I don't feel insulted at all. I think
I don't feel insulted at all.
the variation of dialect and tone and what's the word I'm looking for? Accent is cool to me wherever you go in the world.
Yes, I'm very surprised that my southern drawl hasn't come out tonight. Maybe it's because of...
Yes, it has.
Oh, it has? Oh, Lord. Oh, no. I thought it was a clean night. Oh, man.
I must say, like, commentating on this stream, when I knew I was commentating with you, Ashley, I thought you couldn't get more contrast in backgrounds of white British dude and Southern American black woman.
I'm not even from the South. It's what's crazy. I'm from Delaware.
I was about to say, yeah, you're from Delaware. Yeah,
I was born and raised in Delaware. But fun fact, my family, like on my dad's side, is actually from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is where the University of Alabama is. But they just moved up to Delaware, like when I was before I was born. But yeah,
I thought because you went to school in the South, you lived in the South. So my mistake.
No. That's fine. People make that mistake all the time. I just stopped correcting people at this point. People thought I was from Philly because I'm an Eagles fan. I just stopped correcting people. I'm just like, yeah, I'm from Philly. That's good.
Nice forehand volley from Sakkari for 30-love.
If someone could, she made that forehand. I'm looking at the forehand she hit to go up 15-love. It was really tight, but it would be so interesting to see if somebody, like, I guess this is happening now, like record my face in real time while I watch a Sakkari match, because the facial expressions are probably interesting.
A lot of face scrunching.
Watching do this.
Yeah.
What were you oohing at, Ashley? What point was that?
Yeah, it was the point that Miles was talking about, that forehand on the 15-love point where she made the forehand there on that point. It looked very, very close. And I was like, ooh, it's a little, we playing with a little bit of spice, a little dicey there.
Sakkari's on the second serve. The first serve, the ball toss was kind of a bit too far to the left. She didn't quite connect properly. Goes for the second serve. Jessica Pegula kind of destroys it, but that's because it was long. So double fault at 40 love to bring it to 40-15, and Sakkari is just looking like yeah, apologies if I'm training off a little bit. It is now 8 minutes past midnight UK time, so maybe my brain is not quite functioning at full capacity, which is why I'm very glad I can rely on my American colleagues who are on the right time zone right now, as Sakkari misses the forehand, trying to go for the lines, and it's now 40-30.
Yeah,
Is this danger zone? Is this danger zone, Ashley? For Sakkari.
The match tends to lead that is kind of a danger zone for Sakkari when she is coasting any game, and then she kind of has to is being steered back by either her own volition or Jesse's volition. So I would say it's a little bit of a danger zone.
She got herself out of the danger zone, though. She's got herself out because she just pummels a forehand that Pegula can't do anything about. She gets a backhand on it, but ends up having to hit it into the ground, and Sakkari's bouncing up and down and yelling. She's in this. She's one game away from the match once more. This set is not as long as the first set, though, even though it's 6-5 and they've played 46 minutes compared to the 71 at the first set that went to a tiebreak. It's probably because they got a bit more settled on serve. Miles, how do you see Pegula handling this situation now? Do you think she's going to hold here? And how comfortable is it going to be?
I think she's going to do what she normally does. I really don't see her deviating from the plan that has made this a tight match for Sakkari to close out. She's going to keep the ball deep and low and see what Sakkari can come up with. I don't think she's going to deviate from that. And I wouldn't tell her to deviate if I was her coach. So she knows her strengths and she knows Sakkari's weaknesses. So I think she'll try to show those as much as she can in a very critical part of the match. I'm interested, though. I just realized there were still more people watching us live on YouTube. So I'm interested to see who thinks that Sakkari is going to take this set or if Pegula is going to push it to a third. You should put that in the comments.
Yeah, go for it. Tell us who you think is going to win this. And I'll keep an eye on the chat and let everyone know the balance. So just put Sakkari or put Pegula for the set. Does anyone want to try and offer some tactical advice to Sakkari on how to take this game? What does she need to do to get this match here and now?
Don't miss. I don't think now would be a bad time for her to kind of find a happy medium or leaning to putting more air under the ball and using her legs. But she just always feels like she's at a very interesting crossroads with what that mindset is that she wants to kind of play and take action on the court. But if I had to tell her one, I would tell her to go for her serves and just play the point out, make Pegula work. Like they're both capable of extending rallies. So let's see who has the better windpipe or the better stamina and endurance.
It's 30 love to Sakkari already. It's not Sakkari. 30 love to Pegula already. Sakkari missed an inside-out return backhand on the first point, and then the hits her foot with her racket on putting a forehand into the net that she feels she should have made, and she's not wrong. They're now into another rally, and they're going up the center of the court at the minute. Sakkari's trying to attack as much as she possibly can, and it works because Pegula can't get that back, and Sakkari's fist pumping. Sakkari's strategy at the minute tends to be just throw everything at Pegula and hope to break her down or hit a winner. She's definitely trying to up the aggression here. Jeff on the chat says that he thinks Pegula will pull this out and doesn't trust Sakkari.
I mean,
thoughts on that?
The evidence to not trust her is definitely there. It's definitely there. So
yeah. I want to say I disagree, but I also am. I don't disagree. I want to say that I do, but I don't.
And her game plan, if I was, are they able to get coaching from the stands? Yeah, right.
I think they are. I think it's WTA rules. Just to say, on my side, it's now 30 hours. Pegula just netted a forehand, net cord, bounced on her side. It's now critical. But yeah, they are allowed to have coaching.
Yeah, if I was her coach, I would literally just say, 3 words: make her play. If I was talking to Sakkari, make her play, because Pegula's level,
and it's working.
Yeah, Pegula's level clearly hasn't.
It's working. Pegula's gone long. It's match point Sakkari. Pegula's first forehand goes long, and those last couple of points, Sakkari's been making her play, like you said, and Pegula's the one over hitting now. Anyway, match point. Pegula first serve goes in. Sakkari gets the backhand. I'm talking it through. Backhand into the net from Sakkari. It's juice. It's juice. Sakkari is.
It wouldn't be right if she ended it on the first match point. That's not Sakkari style.
Why make life easier on herself? Why do that? That's just why make life easy? No, that's not fun.
She was playing pretty well, but then Pegula's put another dump to forehand into that. It was really lackluster forehand into the low part of the net, the top of the low part of the net. I don't know what's going on with Pegula, but she's tightened up weirdly, and it's another match point opportunity for Maria Sakkari. Pegula serves, first serve in. Sakkari takes up the middle, inside out forehand, deep from Pegula. Now she's got Sakkari moving. Backhand Pegula trying to go back behind Sakkari, but goes to the Sakkari forehand. Now she's going back to the Sakkari forehand. Tries to move Sakkari to the backhand side. Sakkari's running to go cross court. Slice Pegula. Backhand Sakkari. Backhand inside out Pegula. Sakkari has to run for it and scoop it back. Backhand Pegula, and she hits a winner. She hits a winner. She controlled that point. She moved Sakkari around. She played smart, and then eventually I think she went for it a little bit more than previous points, and this time it paid off. Pegula's taking a little bit more risk here, maybe because she knows her back's against the wall at the minute.
Interesting stuff. Probably one of the best points of the match they played on Sakkari's second match point. Interesting.
Yeah. As Pegula serves. Forehand Sakkari. They're going for it now. Forehand, everything's going. Pegula's going really deep now. Sakkari's just keeping things in the middle, but she's getting things back until running forehand is a little wild, well, very wild. And I don't think it even went to the tram lines. And now it's advantage Pegula to take us to a second set tie break. Who's excited? I'm excited.
I know we talked about tactical points for Sakkari, but at this point, I love the fact that Jessie is using the angles of the court. You can tell that although Sakkari is very athletic and she can use her legs, she's not comfortable when she's forced to use her legs and make up come with that running forehand, that running backhand on that shot. So I think Jessie using those tight angles on the court and finding those angles with the ground strokes can really help her kind of settle in and maybe get an advantage into the tiebreak, tapping into that.
Yeah, I think you might well be right. By the way, for those watching, Pegula won the point very well. Like Sakkari couldn't get that back, and it's interesting because I'm not used to, because Pegula does work the angles. Like she does seem to want to move Sakkari around and get her off balance, but she's not been pushing the boundaries up to now, and maybe she's just sort of let loose and going, well, if I'm going to lose, I may as well go for it. Break started. Jeff, if I assume you still think Pegula's going to win this tie break. If anyone has any different opinions, please put in the comments as Sakkari loses the opening point on her serve. It's 1-0 Pegula because, again, Pegula's working the angles, really pushing Sakkari back. And even though it wasn't making Sakkari move, she was using the angle to really push Sakkari out of court. And the forehand just wasn't going to find it. Very interesting, aggressive stuff from Pegula. I'm not necessarily used to seeing her being this aggressive. Are you?
I think she's aggressive with her footwork more than just like, how some players, at least in my perspective, some players are aggressive with their racket head speed and their arm. I think Pegula does most of her aggressive and puts her pace into the court from her legs because she's just built that way and she's more of a counterpuncher that way. But interesting though, I don't think we've talked about this dynamic at all in the match. And I know we're in the middle of the tiebreak, but I think the drinks might be flowing in a very pro-American crowd. So maybe she's hearing some come on Pegulas or come on Jessies that are making her, fight off those match points and really make a push to make this a 3-set match. So that's interesting. We haven't talked about it being a very pro-American
The crowd just seemed more animated, especially after
those
match points.
I did see a Bills jersey out there in the crowd. So, and if you don't know, her parents got money because they own the Buffalo Bills. So,
she's out here playing tennis in one of the hardest sports to make money in outside of the elite level. So good on her. By the way, she's now given away the mini break by dumping a forehand into the net. So we're back on serve in this tie break, much to Sakkari's relief, because she thought she'd be in this position, as she's really attacking now as she's going aggressive and hits a brutal winner from mid-court. And it's 2-2 in the tie break. Has Pegula squandered her chance, squandered her momentum? Has this given Sakkari some confidence? What do we think?
I don't think there's any such thing as squandered momentum in this match. I think it's just out there to be taken.
I agree with that sentiment. The momentum is out there, and some people, Sakkari gets closer to it, Pegula gets closer to it. It just depends on who wants to take it.
It's like having a cat chasing a torchlight, right?
I don't believe I know what a torchlight is, so I'm just going to go.
Like from a light on the ground, or just shine a torch and then move it around, or like a cat with a ball.
Got it.
Okay.
Got a cat with a yarn. We got there with the cat with a yarn.
I don't own a cat. Okay, I don't have a cat. My ex had cats, but I don't remember a lot of that. Anyway, big winner from Pegula to get Sakkari. I'm tired, guys. It's 3-2. And Pegula serves. Good serve up the middle. Sakkari's scrambling to get everything back. And it lands in the baseline. Good job, Sakkari. Give her time to get back in the point. Sakkari's getting everything back. She's using her movement really well. Really dynamic. Sakkari now mixes up the pace with a slice. Pegula goes inside out with a back, and Sakkari can't pick that up. That would have been an amazing get if she did. No, that was more of a forced error. We're changing ends at 3-3, dead neutral. That was a good rally, though.
Interesting stuff between the battle of the Adidas sponsored brunettes. Interesting.
Oh man!
Hashtag not sponsored, guys. Well, they are, but we're not.
Adidas. If you ever want somebody to be if you ever looking for more sponsorships, I'm right here. Adidas. I'm right here. Or John's right here. Not me. This is not my channel. This is John's channel. John is great. John is great.
John will represent Adidas, although as a Rafa fan, he might prefer Nike.
Well,
we're not discriminating.
We don't discriminate. If Adidas comes knocking, Adidas comes knocking.
As Sakkari goes into the tram lines trying to pass Pegula at the net. It's interesting how often Pegula's come into the net, how often I've said she's come into the net today in comparison to Sakkari. It's almost like when Pegula wants to go aggressive, she comes in. I don't know if that's something that you guys have observed.
Yeah, I think Jesse's ever since I think she's played doubles more consistently with Coco. She's found more. She's a little bit more comfortable at the net. And she's not afraid to come in. So that's kind of like my stance on it. You know, it's something that I kind of expect from Jessie Pegula. At times where if there's the opportunity to come into the net, she's gonna do it because she's not afraid of her net game. And she's comfortable in that arena.
It's now 4-4 in the tiebreak. So one of these players is potentially 3 points away from winning this match. But yeah, that's the beauty of this scoring system. We're not winning the match. What we're talking about is a second set. Sakkari's 3 points away from winning the match. Pegula's went 3 points away from going to a tiebreak. Is the time zone difference showing? I think it's showing.
He got there eventually. Oh.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's playing. We're watching Goff's Fiontek, right?
We're actually watching Pegula Sakkari, and something just came across the screen thanks to Tennis Channel's team over there. But Jessica's won 3 matches this year after saving match points. So
yeah, I just saw that stat as well.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, that did
very
not
interesting.
On my screen.
One thing about Tennis Channel. One thing about Tennis Channel, they're going to find the obscure stat, like the really good niche stats sometimes.
And they're also going to confuse Felix.
Pegula nets the forehands. It's match point.
That's a different discussion for today, Miles.
Right, guys, it's match point again. It's the third match point for Maria Sakkari. Like,
Walk
it
us
was a
through
very
it, Nick.
neutral rally. Pegula gets moved out, didn't quite get put the ball in the net. And now it's Pegula's serving. So she's got a chance to extend this match a little bit longer, but she puts the first serve into the net. That's not what she wanted. She's put the first serve in on her other 2 match points that she's had to save. What's going to happen now? Here we go. Second serve. Forehand Sakkari on the attack. Forehand Pegula. Backhand Sakkari cross court. Slice from Pegula to get herself back into position to play it. And she goes on the attack. And but in the net, Sakkari wins 7-6, 7-6.
Yay!
That is a win for the Greek. Miles, I know you're pleased for Sakkari. That was a bit weird to see an American cheering someone else beating an American.
I'm not that guy. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not like, I don't just cheer for Americans strictly because of the flag they represent. And I don't dislike Pegula if anybody's watching this and like, I want to get into his content, but he doesn't like Americans. That's not what I'm saying. I think Sakkari, if you put
and I can guarantee to you guys that Miles likes Pegula, because if you listen to the Popcorn Tennis Podcast episode that we recorded last week, you can find it on all good podcast sites. We're very complimentary about Pegula. We both absolutely love her, which is partly why the reaction surprised me a bit.
Sakkari just the same way I was happy for Pegula, even though I wasn't happy at the expense of Sakkari. I do believe Sakkari still needs her moment in the sun to shine, and she could very well have it at this tournament. So that's a step in the right direction, especially considering she was moments away from really breaking open that second set with points to go up 4-1, and eventually takes it in the second set tiebreak after losing some match points. So that's a step in the right direction. She beat somebody that she just lost to a week ago. So good on Maria. Very good for her. Yeah,
that's true. Breaking the momentum in that head-to-head. Normally, I think what we'll do is we'll talk for another sort of 5-10 minutes after the stream, because there's a few different topics that might be worth covering. Ashley, what's your overview of the match as a whole?
Well, that just told me to never put faith in Jessica Pegula again. Never. No, I'm just joking. This was a match that clearly Maria Sakkari wanted to win, and Jessica Pegula was not really willing to take advantage of. I think Maria just saw the opportunity to kind of right the ship from Guadalajara, another tournament where she squandered a chance to get a big title, and just kind of put herself in the position to kind of have some momentum going into this tournament. I don't think Jessica played a terrible match, but it definitely wasn't her best. We've seen her play better, cleaner tennis, but I do think she'll get better as the tournament goes on. I don't think this match is indicative of Jessie's level. I think she can clean it up, definitely going into the next few matches in the round robin.
And it says something that Jessica Pegula, not playing her cleanest tennis, lost 7-6, 7-6. That's the standard that she brings. She's the other two people in the group are Jabeur and Sabalenka, who are coming out to play soon because they were due to start playing about now. But this match has obviously gone on a little bit.
Just a little bit long.
I could see Pegula, if she does clean it up, definitely beating Sabalenka if Sabalenka brings the sort of inconsistency that we come to expect from her, and maybe even Jabeur, depending on how she comes out feeling.
Sorry, Hanya, if you're still here. Man.
Jabeur is a tougher one because it depends if she's on or not. Because if Jabeur is on, she can outplay Pegula easily. So does that rebalance it? I think it does.
The next match is going to be interesting because it depends on who's on and in both factors with Jabeur and Sabalenka for sure. So it'll be interesting stuff for sure. As equally this match was, I think it's a good way to start off a year-ending championships with some outside looking in questionable talent leading stars, if that makes any sense. Like, especially considering 3 of the 8 players haven't actually won a championship this season and still qualified. So there's been some rumblings and concern about how star heavy this year in the championship was, but not a bad match to start it off at all. Not bad at all.
If you have concerns about it, read the article I wrote for Popcorn Tennis when I previewed the WTA finals. Basically said, there's star power here. That's my view. There is star power here. Stop being fussy about it.
I set that up for you. I set that up just for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is the by the way, this is the Popcorn channel. No, we're not. This is not Popcorn TV. This is Talking Tennis. This is John's channel. But I'm happy to be part of it and to help him out and sort of lead the commentary from time to time. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that match later is going to be critical, but it's going to depend very much on sort of form and how they're feeling, because Jabeur isn't quite. Jabeur's not played for a while. She had that disappointing loss in Tunisia. Sabalenka is Sabalenka. Do we? I suppose, given the result tonight, and not knowing where the other two are, and typically if you win your opening match, that builds up some good momentum. It usually bodes well for the rest of the tournament. Is Sakkari now in pole position to come out the group and reach the semi-finals?
I thought she was. Yeah, I thought she was before she even played the match, just because, I was going with my heart a little bit more, and I think she would have liked the conditions. And she got so close to that moment that she was looking for all season just a week ago, so she has extra incentive to finally get it. And I think the WTA finals just provides weird, quacky things sometimes. Like, for instance, I feel like there's always one player that just like you would think would play well and just goes into the tournament and puts in a clunker and goes 0-for-3 or something like that. That very well may be Pegula, which would be odd considering that she's won so many matches this season. And then the winner of the entire tournament could end up being Sakkari, who hasn't lifted a trophy since 2019 in Africa somewhere. So, I think this is a good start, like I said.
Yeah. I think it's probably about right. Ashley, do you have any thoughts about how this group's going to play out?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting group. A lot of there's a lot of interesting matchups that can kind of pop up into here. I do think Sakkari and Ons were kind of like my front runners at the beginning to kind of come out of this group potentially and make it to the semifinals. Just purely based on form, momentum, the conditions, and honestly, like Miles said, Sakkari's kind of looking for that moment in the sun, and Ons to an extent too. Losing back-to-back Grand Slam finals, and then, like he said, the upsetting loss in Tunisia. They're both looking for their moment in the sun, and WTA finals kind of typically rewards people that have been close in the season but haven't gotten there yet. And we've seen that in the past. And I think if they can lock into their form and, get out of the round robin pretty well, whoever does that the best. I think Sakkari, Ons could probably come out of this group. I'd be very, very surprised if Sabalenka came out of this group. I'm just going to be quite frankly honest with y'all. But yeah, this group is a fun group. It's a fun and entertaining group, and I like it.
Which is interesting because they're in the group Nancy Ritchie, and I'm so sorry if anybody watches this and is offended by this, but who is Nancy Ritchie?
Nancy Ritchie is a doubles player. I think she mainly doubles player, although I think I do know who she is. I think she's won a.
That makes one of us.
We're talking 60s, 70s era.
Yeah, she was ranked world number 2 at the end of the year in 1969, and she won 2 major singles and 4 major women's doubles titles. Interesting.
She was like Nancy's as the open era was coming through, so she was kind of one of Margaret Court and Billie Jean King's kind of rivals, kind of up there with them.
She just got a ding for me. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but she just got a ding as far as me standing her in this moment because she lost the U.S. Open final to Margaret Court in straight sets. So Okay.
She couldn't really compete with court. Not many people could back in those days, apart from King.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all.
Well, on the other group, what's the other group's name? Which other player is it?
Brooke Tracy Austin, who I know very well. Well, not,
Yeah. She seems like a lovely person, though. We'd all love to know Tracy Austin.
She does.
Career ended way too soon. Quickly touching on the other group, because obviously tomorrow, same time as this match started, you've got Swiatek and Kasatkina. Most people will probably think Swiatek's the heavy favourite for that, given her record against Kasatkina. But there's always this opportunity for someone to unpigeon themselves. I don't know if Kasatkina's got the weaponry to do that, but you never know. Weird things happen in tennis. Swiatek could have the worst day she's ever had.
I'm sorry, I can't be serious. But even on Iga's worst day, I still don't trust Kasatkina enough.
In a best of 3 set match, in the pressure of one of the biggest championship trophies you can lift, I don't really give the eggs to Kasatkina, especially since Swiatek has beaten her so comfortably. But going back to the Twitter space I was in the other night, Courtney Nguyen and someone else said that the courts are skidding, like the balls are skidding a little bit on the court, similar-ish, not really comparing the two, but similar-ish to grass. And we saw what happened on grass when she came up against a similar player in Cornet, Kasatkina. They have some traits in their game, just scrappers, getting the ball back. So we'll see if she's having a good forehand day. And then also the last time Swiatek played an indoor event, a lot of her matches were not straightforward in Ostrava. They were not straightforward at all. So,
but it still took a lot from Krejcikova to take her down, though.
Yeah.
And slightly different conditions. I say interesting to see the ball skidding. I mean, Kasatkina's no slouch on grass either. I think she's a former Wimbledon quarter finalist. So she's, in many ways, maybe this could favor Goff or. Well, I don't know. Goff's more comfortable here, but Goff does like her grass courts, and Garcia as well. But Garcia depends on her headspace. How do you see Goff versus Garcia tomorrow night playing out?
Goff does not want to go out there and get embarrassed adjacent like she did in the U.S. Open in New York. So I expect a lot of fight, a lot of energy. And I think Coco should come through that one. If it's 3 sets, I give the edge more to Coco. If it's 2 sets, then it's probably Caroline Garcia because she's playing well, or Coco's a little off in her first WTA finals match. So,
yeah, I agree to that sentiment. I think this group is an interesting one. Coco in particular, I think the only winning record she has in a person against this group is Caroline, and that's 2-1. I mentioned head to head. It's not that big of a factor here, but it kind of lends to the momentum that someone may have into her match. Like I pointed out with Sakkari earlier. But I do think Iga is the heavy front runner against Kasatkina. I'm losing my train of thought. My bad. I'm sorry. I do think this match, this group tends to heavily favor the top players in the Epsilon, which would be Iga and Coco. But I'm interested to see how Kasatkina and Caroline handle the moments of, kind of being the underdogs in these matches. Seeing if they kind of come with that little bark, that little extra bite into it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the way we're kind of talking at the minute in general, if you look at the tournament as a whole, Iga is the favourite, court conditions notwithstanding, given the rest of the field. But the court, all the discussion around this not being her ideal conditions, faster courts, indoors, it gives a reasonable explanation or preparation for a surprise or for a less expected outcome to occur, such as Sakkari winning it or Sakkari winning it all, something like that, which she may well do after today's performance.
Sakkari winning it wouldn't surprise me that much because, like I said earlier, WTA finals tends to reward people that haven't been rewarded that much throughout the season.
Yeah.
Kasatkina would surprise me. Kasatkina would definitely surprise me. But
more or less than Sabalenka?
That's a tough one. I would say a little bit less than Sabalenka, considering how much Sabalenka has struggled this year. I don't know. It would kind of be like even.
Miles.
It kind of be like even, like 1A, like of like most shocking.
Wow, they got Sakkari to the Tennis Channel desk really quickly. I think the most shocked I'd be. There's two players I'd be most shocked if they won the year-ending championships. It would probably be between Garcia and Kasatkina, and they're in the same group. And watch because I said that. Watch because I said that they both make it out of the group. But Kasatkina, I just don't see enough weaponry to really hang with the people in her group. And then Garcia, I don't know, especially given what just was released about her splitting with her coach and her being a very momentum-based player. She doesn't really come in with a whole bunch of momentum, especially over the past couple of weeks. So I'd be most surprised if Garcia and Kasatkina win. But if Sabalenka wins the whole thing, I actually wouldn't be surprised. Sabalenka winning an indoor tournament and blasting her way through it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair point.
I wouldn't be too surprised by that.
I just want to say to any Daria Kasatkina fans out there, that we do like Kasatkina in this. We like Kasatkina in these parts. I know we picked a lot at her game. I really don't have that much beef with her. I just think, like, to compete in an event like this where like you're competing among the top of the top in the league, in the WTA and on the ATP side, you have to have the weapons to kind of compete. And when you don't have everything in your toolbox, it kind of makes it like it becomes more glaring on a stage like this.
I will say this. I count myself as a Daria Kasatkina fan. I'm an Iga Swiatek fan first, but I would count I'd say Kasatkina's in my top 5 favorites. And one of the reasons is the fact that she competes the way she competes with what she's got, and the fact that she can bring it to the top players who could potentially overpower her, and she doesn't, and her ability to counterpunch impresses me. I do like myself a counterpuncher in tennis, actually. But so I'm and also Kasatkina just seems like a personality wise someone who seems just really nice and friendly and gets on with everyone, and appreciate how honest she is about who she is as a person as well, not just by coming out this year, but also by the fact that she's Russian, but actively opposing what's going on. Not to get massively political here, but yeah, just to sort of redress the balance and just reassure people, you have a Kasatkina fan in the building. If that helps. It's just that I also recognize that her game is limited, and also, again, if she's against Iga, I'm rooting for Iga. I know it's wrong. It seems wrong to root for the number 1 player in the world, but hey, wrong. You guys.
I don't think it's wrong. I mean, I'll leave that alone.
I mean, look, you guys got I mean, I don't know. You got to root for Serena when she was the dominant force in the world for about 12 months, 14 to 15.
Yeah, there's very few times I've rooted against the best player in the world. I can think of those times, but I'll leave it alone.
Yeah. I know we're going to get tired, but I do want to do one question that came up in the chat an hour ago, and the match got a bit too dramatic, and we ended up talking about other things. But this hopefully we might just don't spend too long on it. It's Jeff, about an hour ago. Jeff, if you're still watching, I'm sorry it took us so long to get around to this question. I've seen, so Miles, you put a tweet out. I haven't seen the tweet. I'll go and like it in a minute. Saying that you're looking out for Anisimova next year. Who else are you looking forward to seeing a breakout in 2023? And then he followed up with a comment saying that he was looking at Samsonova.
When in regards to Anisimova, I was actually just going back and forth in my list of 12 players that had interesting or / darn good results this year that I think had interesting storylines going into next season. And I was trying to think of a player who had that moment at Wimbledon, and Anisimova did. She made the quarters for the first time, and then the rest of her season was very shaky or kind of shaky. I can't think of anybody else that's like necessarily on my radar to kind of break out. I have players that I would like, but they're kind of too young to even. I think they're too young to have breakthroughs. I am interested to see, even though I'm not a fan necessarily, I'm interested to see what Rybakina does as a full year almost or so as a Wimbledon champion, especially given some of the remarks she's made about not feeling like a Wimbledon champion. So I'm interested in that. And in terms of Samsonova, um, good player, similar to Caroline Garcia in a way that I feel like she picks up off of her momentum when she gets wins in a row. But I haven't seen quite enough of her to tell if she's going to really come through and be like a top 10 player, top 5 kind of player in 2023. It's not impossible. I just would have to. It's one of those situations where I have to see it to believe it. Good player, though. Good player.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. I think Anasimova's probably more remember. I know she got to the quarters at Wimbledon this year, but I think when I think of Anasimova's year, my mind goes to Australia and her performances out there first. Even though maybe Wimbledon she got a bit further, I think that Osaka win was a match that people remember. She did kind of push Barty at points, and when Barty was unstoppable at that event. So if Anisimova can take this promise that she's showed at a few events and really translate it into it consistently, then yeah, she's someone with whose story would be great, because after getting to the French Open semi-finals as a 17-year-old and having all that happening to her afterwards with her dad, dealing with COVID and everything else like that, I really, really want to see her doing well and having a moment in the sun. So I'm with you on that. Samsonova, I also agree with you. There's this point where she looks like she's going to break out, and then she seems to run out of steam mid-match almost sometimes. Again, when she goes deep and she looks like she's going to make an impact. Ashley, are there any players that you're kind of looking at saying, 2020 didn't necessarily have that like at the top of 2022, but you could see them being in 2023?
For some reason, I don't know if it's the American bias in me or what, but my mind goes to Danielle Collins.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I would like to see her kind of just, I wouldn't consider it like a breakout or anything like that, but I would like to see her kind of, back up her run at the Australian Open, making the final, of course, running into the almighty, unstoppable Ashley Barty at that tournament. It was a joke, Miles. Relax.
I didn't even say anything. I gotta work.
I know you. I see it. I would like to see her kind of back up that run. I think at the Australian Open, just, out on a hard court, get some other tournaments. I like to see kind of some of the younger players on the tour kind of break out as well. I'm not sure how old Samsonova is, but her, Leylah Fernandez.
23, I think.
Okay, so she is young. All right, cool. Samsonova, Leylah Fernandez, just seeing them kind of have breakout moments, not necessarily tournament wins, but like breakout wins against top players. That's kind of
wins. We want tournament wins. That's what we want.
I mean, tournament wins are great, okay, but we're gonna start at the bottom, and we're just gonna focus on the wins, Miles.
There are 4 players that I can think of who are all Grand Slam champions that I would love to see all of them in some parts of the season have a resurgence, and that is Osaka, Andreescu, Kenin, and Raducanu. I think Raducanu is going to be the most arduous of those 4 to kind of get things get things going. And I mean, and Kennan's trying, like she's out there playing ITFs. I think the biggest question mark out of those four, as far as who has the biggest will to win, is probably Osaka right now, just because the vibe, we don't know her, but the vibe she's giving off is very, I can take tennis or leave it at this current juncture. But we've also seen players before be in that juncture and come out better because of it. So we'll see. But all four of those players have won Grand Slams. And just imagine if they all played well, at the same time or throughout the same season. I think that would be great for women's tennis.
Yeah,
I would completely agree. I would love to see, let's face it, a lot of the discussions around the lack of star power at this WTA finals, much as I don't agree with that level of negativity, I do see the benefit of having multiple Grand Slam champions at the top of the game. I like this in multiple players who are Slam champions. Osaka is the biggest star in tennis now, active star in tennis now. Serena's stopped. And I think if she can decide she wants to have tennis, wants to be part of tennis, like when she's on, she's unstoppable, and it's incredible to watch. I think I think that Raducanu's journey back will be arduous, especially given that she's probably going to be dealing with some off-court stuff with her family, being difficult, from what we can gather. But I think Kennan's will be more arduous because she's got further to work back from. It's going to be a struggle for her, but I hope to see her maybe rocking up to Australia where she's won before, or rocking up to the US Open, French Open. Like, she loves the French Open, and just going super deep and re-announcing herself to the tour. And Andreescu, always up for Andreescu coming back. We've been wanting these Andreescu comebacks since 2020. She's such an exciting player. I would be more advised. Yeah, any of these people who are Grand Slam champions. I'll throw another name into the mix, Leylah Fernandez. Big fan of Fernandez. She's probably my second favorite player. I love the energy she brings.
It seems like you have a thing for liking players outside of Swiatek, because she can hit a big ball. But just if I lump Kasatkina and Fernandez together for a second, it seems like you like a lot of grit. I think Fernandez and Kasatkina's grit, for me, looks different, but they both are in the category of players that are a little underpowered, but you're not going to, they're not going to go out there and let that be a deterrent from how hard they're going to work. And I love that about Fernandez. Some people are a little off-put by how competitive she can be in terms of, wanting to win points where her opponent is bleeding or the lights go out or something like that. But she's feisty, and I like that. And she's a lefty, so I have a soft spot for her. But I love to see her in the mix for sure. Top 15.
100% would have been rooting for Fernandez to win that US Open final had Raducanu not been on the other side of the net. And Raducanu is one of my favorite players as well, by the way. So kind of rejects the balance. I do like my grit, but I also do like. I have a very specific idea of what I like from seeing kind of stroke style. I mean, I came into tennis through watching Roger Federer. It's actually probably a few players that ended up being women's tennis and watching that US Open last year that really won me over to women's tennis more than men's. But but I do like my grit in my players.
Yeah, Raducanu's.
Don't know why I'm not.
She was an easy watch for those 2 weeks. Everything was just smooth and clicking for her. So if she can find any kind of resemblance of that, or a little bit of what she showed in that first round of Wimbledon against Van Uytvanck, I don't know why that stands out to me, but she looked like a player on a mission. If she can kind of bottle that up and show that in some stages of 2023, I think women's tennis would be better for it. But we'll see. I mean, there's probably a name. There's probably a name that we have not even mentioned at all this conversation that's just chomping at the bit, getting their fingers ready for a breakthrough 2023. So we'll see who that is.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, let's face it. I mean, like this WTA finals lineup, who would have called it, right? Who would have called it?
I probably would have called Swiatek, Sabalenka, and who else is in there? If you would have asked me at the end of last year's year-end finals, I would have called Sakkari, Sabalenka, and Swiatek for sure. Those three.
I kind of agree with that with Miles.
I'd say that's fair. I mean, it's. I hope to see more from Coco Gauff as well next year. I mean, it's not really a break. 2023 wouldn't be a breakout, but I think she'll build well on 2022.
Well, if she does the theory of Miles's universe and wins this WTA finals and goes on to win Australia, then 2023 will be her breakout.
I love the theory of Miles' universe. That the way she set that up. That would be nice for her to win.
What was the question?
I was going to say, is there anything else in Miles's universe that you want to share?
For the final to be, and for the final, I'm only thinking in the next couple of months ahead. My universe can only manage that much, right? I'm thinking a Osaka, Andreescu, Coco, and one random Lucic Baroni type player semifinal lineup of Australia. I'd like to see it.
Interesting.
Quirky. I like it. Lots of beautiful gowns there.
Something like that. That's a very nice, how this year's Wimbledon on the WTA side was just a complete mess. I'd like to see the opposite of that in Australia, where it's enticing, similar to, I'm biased here, but the 2017 Australian Open semifinal lineup was nice. Sub Vanderway, sorry Vanderway fans, but I can't.
Does Vanderway have fans?
She does. She does.
Yeah, she does have
believe me, she does.
we done found them. She got fans.
Believe me, she has them. And power to those people. But I think like John is saying, Miles's universe consists of a top 10 where anybody in the top 10 realistically can bring home that Grand Slam trophy. But it not
so kind of like how it was 20 years ago.
Yes. I mean, I hate to be that guy that's stuck in a certain time frame. But the beauty of the WTA was that if you looked at the top 10, you wouldn't have been surprised if anybody in that list wins the Grand Slam. Whereas the same thing could be said now, but it's looked at from a totally different lens of anybody could win this tournament in the top 20 or so like that, because it's been consistently happening. So I don't know. I just want the top 10 to feel a little bit more of an exclusive club, and for the Grand Slams to be more of a jousting battle of that exclusive club when it comes down to the four majors.
I agree with that sentiment.
I can see that. Yeah, I think that's look, this is all very hopeful for the long-term future. We're also very excited for the short-term future of the next week to be very exciting. I think the next match is underway. We will not be covering it because I have to sleep.
And I need a beer and a burger.
This man said a beer and a burger.
And Ashley probably has to study.
Yeah, we'll say that.
That says every college student ever. And I'm including myself in there from my time there. But it's been good fun. I'm going to end with this comment from John from about a few minutes ago. I think we can all agree that we not only did we enjoy the match, but we're very pleased with the result. We're very pleased for Maria Sakkari. Congratulations, Maria. That was a hard-earned win. You definitely you had some hiccups on the way, but that was overall the best overall stronger player. I'm rambling, which is a good sign for me to sign off. So Tennis World, we will love you and leave you. Thank you very much, for stopping by, Miles. Hope you come again.
For sure. Thanks, you guys, for putting this together. Thanks, John, for inviting me on your platform. If you guys want to follow more of Miles's universe, which I may take that and brand that somewhere, you can follow me on all platforms at Missing Point Pod, MISSINGPOINTPOD. A mouthful.
And if you want to follow, I can go ahead.
Go on, Ashley. Go on.
Yeah, my name is a little less of a mouthful than that. But if you are just wanting to follow a budding journalist just trying to make her way through school, and if you're interested in football, mainly collegiate athletic content, football, women's basketball, some tennis mixed in there, follow me at all socials. Ashley, ASHLEE, M Woods, WOODS, all lowercase, everywhere. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. Soon to be Real. We'll see. But yeah, if you're interested in that type of content and Ashley's world, not universe, but world, tap in and we can have some lively sports discussions and maybe some fashion, music discussions mixed in there sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely worth following Ashley because, and Miles, because they both not only insightful but entertaining for different reasons, but also so much fun to interact with. I really hope I get to commentate with you both again because this was so great, and it's always a good time chatting to you both. Ashley, I'll probably see you on WhatsApp in like 5 seconds.
Probably.
Well, you guys have any room in that WhatsApp group?
It just sends us I mean, we'll take this offline, Miles.
Okay.
And I will. So just stay on after the broadcast ends. But I just want to say thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone who may be watching us back. Hope you enjoy the rest of this week. As to quote the wonderful John Silk, Tennis World, thanks for stopping by.